Are you ready, Justin?
Yeah, ready as I'll be.
Are you ready, other guys?
Other guys.
Oh, sure. We're the other ones.
We don't even get the dignity of a name.
And welcome to the UGO podcast, everybody. League of Justice edition.
Yay.
I do like the whole Justice League. It rolls off the tongue better than Vengeance League or anything else.
Retribution League.
Or the Revengers. But I am excited to be talking about Justice League this episode. We're going to be talking about that movie in all its spoilerly glory. I realize that hopefully everyone has seen it by now. It's been out for a while. We're also, of course, going to talk about the geeky news of the week here. And, man, we got a big trailer to talk about today. A big show, guys. But who is ready to talk with you about this big show? It's me, Nick the Mark with a mic, and my fellow Unapologists,
Travis.
And our news correspondent,
Justin Zarian.
Justin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry it sounds so defeated. It's been a very, very rough week. So
yeah.
I see how it is. You ask him how he is, but no, me.
Well, I was just gonna ask you. Baby, you know I love you. But I was gonna ask how's everybody's Thanksgiving, because we just had our Thanksgiving week. I got sick right after, so
yeah, you did.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling so good afterwards. But the Thanksgiving was pretty fun.
That's good.
I got to meet my sister's fiance for the first time, the one I've been talking about on the podcast. He's a nice dude. Very, very nice, very quiet. That was probably the hardest thing about trying to get to know him, because I wanted to ask him all these questions about himself, about his nerdiness, because, he's a humongous Batman dork, to the nth degree Batman dork. But most of the time, one, he was only there for a few days because he had to go visit his family for Thanksgiving. But then two, whenever time I tried to talk to him, he's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's kind of thing. So I'm just like, what is my sister's? Okay, I'm not going to judge my sister for what she sees in him, but I'm just like, he doesn't fit quite in our dynamic just yet.
Yeah, I did like that we a bunch of my family members actually got to talk about Stranger Things season 2. Because we were basically like, man, what do we want to talk about that isn't fucking politics or sex scandals in Hollywood? Geez. Hey, anyone watch Stranger Things season 2? Oh man, wasn't it cool? Wasn't it awesome? Yeah, okay. And so
you're gonna hate me. I still have not watched it, because the week I was supposed to watch it with my parents, I got swamped with transcription work to do for an assignment. So I feel so bad because I wanted to talk about it too.
Hey, I would say get on it when you can. I don't think you'd regret it.
No,
it's a fun time.
I think I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna start without them. I can't wait anymore.
I actually had a conversation with one of my cousins. He's like, so was Thor Ragnarok weird? He's like, well, yeah, it was. It was definitely different than
weird.
Well, he was like, they're going full goofy now. I'm like, yeah, they are, and I think that's great.
Yeah. No, I actually got my family and I all went to go see it, and they all loved it. So I was super happy. I'm just like, oh, thank you. You enjoyed it just like I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually went to go see it again with my brother, actually, to go see it. He hadn't seen it yet, so he really enjoyed it too.
It still holds up on a second viewing, I feel. So
I think so too. I've seen it 3 times now. So
oh wow,
of course.
I loved it because he was like, so Jeff. I think the first thing he said to me when we were walking out was, "So Jeff Goldblum has pretty much embraced the impression of himself, right?"
Yep.
And I'm like, yes, he's pulled a full Shatner, where he has just become the impression of himself, which is awesome in my opinion. I like it.
He's kind of the new Christopher Walken, the guy who's just accepted the fact that he has a particular speaking style and everyone makes fun of it. So it's like, okay, well, I'll make fun of it too. It's just...
This sexy Lord of Thunder has stolen my champion. Take to the streets. What a weird fucking dictator.
Yeah, and I will say, he still is not my favorite part of Thor, like everyone else's is. And I'm just like, Jeff Goldblum, he's just playing Jeff Goldblum. I mean, we all like Jeff Goldblum, but when you think about all the other people around him who are actually acting, he kind of comes off as just not trying as hard.
Yeah, well, Tom Cruise made his whole career off being Tom Cruise, so I can forgive Jeff Goldblum for being himself in one movie.
I kind of like
Tom
the
Cruise is, he's performing. So
I mean, I kind of like the idea that the what do you call them? The immortals, like the Collector and the Grandmaster, are played by these weird fucking character actors that are just kind of basically like they just go. I can't wait to see who they pick next to just go like, okay, do like your thing, but like at 11, like what the thing you do it, but like you've never done it before.
Well, I don't know if you heard about the cameo they're going to have in Infinity War, that there is going to be an Arrested Development cameo like there has been in every Russo brother film.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a very blue one.
Wait, Arrested Development.
Well, because yeah, if you notice, every Avengers film that the Russo, or every Marvel film the Russo brothers have directed, there's an actor from Arrested Development or Community.
I thought it was Community. Like,
oh, sorry, yeah, Community.
I've only noticed the actors from Community.
Someone joked about Arrested Development then as a cameo in this one, so it's like actors from either.
Oh, okay.
The Russos also directed Arrested Development, so.
Yeah, I remember in the Russo films always having a Community cameo. I do like it.
Yeah. So there's going to be a big one coming up this next movie too. So.
Yeah. And with that, I think we can just talk about like I was I didn't really do much this week. I was like I said, I was sick and I worked overtime a lot of it. Although I have been catching up on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a show that I can watch in the background while I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And for me it's kind of like the same thing like I was talking to you about Chuck, where I'm like, oh, I like this. This is amusing, but I don't feel like I find it as funny as everyone else does. Because everyone else is just like, man, you gotta watch Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec is hilarious.
Parks and Rec is awesome.
And I'm like,
well, what season are you on also?
I'm on season 3.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm actually in the middle. I'm in the middle of season 3. And I'll tell you
That's
what,
fair enough.
There's a couple of things that are holding me back. And one or two of them are just, I think I just came at it too late. Because, what's his name? Ron Swanson. His libertarian shtick of like, I hate government and I'm going to use my position here to fuck over government as much as possible is not as cute anymore as I think it was before.
I guess I could see that.
I still
like
find him very charming.
There's a certain point where I'm like, oh man, this guy is funny. But then there's certain points where I'm like, yeah, this isn't very funny anymore. Because it reminds me too much of shit that's happening right now.
True.
Hey, I would take more of him than any more of Aziz Ansari in that show. You know what I mean? I like Aziz Ansari enough, but he's just obnoxious.
I don't know what happened with Tom's character, but Tom is another character that I go back and forth. I'm like, there's like a couple episodes where I'm like, man, this guy's really funny. But then every once in a while, like there's just be a string of episodes where I'm like, why the fuck is this guy on the show?
Yeah, the problem is that the character never really grows. He never learns a lesson.
He never learns anything, and then the other characters
anytime
are like,
he does learn, he reverts back too. That's the weird part.
And it's like, well, Tom's my friend. I'm like, yeah, but why? Tom doesn't respect you or treat you like you're a person at all.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, even the ending of this show, basically, he doesn't learn a lesson.
Yeah, and his whole, and I'm like, and again, with the whole sexual allegations we're going through right now, his whole douche bro hit on everything that moves thing is not very funny to me. I'm just like, no, you're legitimately a bad character.
No,
like,
Tom is definitely my least favorite character of the show.
I'll tell you what, I like the guy that they replaced, they replaced the straight man with, what's his name?
Adam Scott.
Yeah. I like him.
Once he shows up at the show starts turning out really just kind of awesome.
And
him and Rob Lowe, they were the big additions that really helped the show a lot.
I really like Rob Lowe character. His whole positivity thing, where it's like he's daring you not to like him. It's pretty fun.
This is literally the best addition to the cast possible.
Literally the best. And then Leslie Knope has become more sympathetic as well too.
Yes.
In the first season, I thought she was just kind of a monster that was like bullying other people in order to do stuff for her.
Pretty much.
The first season sucked.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't remember it fondly. That's for sure. But yeah, I did power through it, so now I'm like, yeah, I'm more or less enjoying it. I mean, I keep watching it, but it is like Chuck for me, where I'm like, I don't think something is not clicking like the way it clicks with everybody else. I'll tell you who's the new MVP of that show, though. Burt Macklin.
I love Chris Pratt. He's so good.
Chris Pratt is anytime he introduces that whole FBI persona character, like he's pretty funny as well. But that whole Burt Macklin running joke is pretty fun. I like it every time it shows up.
He gets a few other fun ones too.
But yeah, other than that, I did catch up on the Arrowverse. I'm all caught up.
Oh yeah.
They had their whole crossover event with Earth X, where they fight Nazi doppelgangers of themselves.
Awesome.
Of course it was Nazis.
And that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta lie, I'm not gonna lie, man, I liked this way better than Justice League.
Spoiler.
It's really fun. Like, and it introduces everybody, and there's like, out of the crew of like 10 different heroes, there's how many different characters of color and LGBTQ representation. There's even a Muslim character on Legends of Tomorrow now.
Wow.
And they're all fighting Nazis, and it feels pretty rad. Like, yeah, fuck
to
you
be
guys.
fair, they had seasons of TV shows to develop too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the Warner Brother movies should try that sometime. Development.
Look, I actually kind of want to watch them again, and I want to see because you haven't watched since Arrow season 3, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And I actually think, like, I don't think you would miss a whole lot. At first, I'd have to explain all the new Arrowverse characters, but like in all the crossovers, they bench them really fast. Like, for whatever reason, the Arrow characters get shafted. Like, if your name ain't Oliver, you're not getting a whole lot of focus in the crossovers.
Well, I think they realized a lot of them are not very interesting.
Fuck everybody on Arrow. Like,
yeah. Even Diggle, where I'm like, I kind of like Diggle, but now I'm just like,
Look, and I'm not gonna lie, Arrow is a little bit better this season too. They've been getting incrementally better, but it's still like the worst out of all the Arrowverse shows now.
Which is ironic considering it's named for that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Flash is back to being fun.
Okay, that's good.
They introduced the Thinker as the villain, and that was a shot in the arm that this show really needed, was a different type of villain for them to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear Ralph Dibny's not bad either.
Ralph Dibny is super fun. Like, the whole stretching mechanic, it's really cool. He sneezes his face off. Like, he sneezes and his face comes over, and then like, what's his name? Joe West throws up. Like, I've seen a lot of things over the three years, and I've never puked. But this is the thing that made me throw up.
So was it like Clayface when his face gets all smeared up like that?
Yes, it's exactly like that.
That's awesome.
It's great. I love Flash being fun. This is exactly the way it should be. Also, they bring back Harrison Wells from the alternate Earth 2 Harry.
Of course.
And they have a whole coalition of Wells now, where he has a coalition to do a think tank to try and get something done. And there's one from like a French universe where he's like, it's like Eastern European trash. Where he's like, yes, Harry, I see that you need my help like always.
Man, that actor's gonna be having so much fun playing that role.
He's great. That guy is fantastic. And you know, the other guy is like this Hugh Hefner, plays a Hugh Hefner type character that comes in like, hey, sorry guys, I was having a little fun with the girls there. What are we doing? Think tank? Great. And then my favorite one has gotta be his impression of a Mad Max character, cause there's one Harrison Wells that comes from a Mad Max apocalyptic Earth.
Okay.
That is he's half cyborg, and he has an Australian accent for no reason.
Dang, you're selling me on this. This sounds really awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Dude, I gotta say, Flash season 3 was pretty weak. Jump back on in season 4. They've done a lot of stuff that I'm really into.
Well, I'm glad that clearly that they're fans of Rick and Morty because they've introduced their own Council of Ricks.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking of, is that this is the Council of Ricks, only it's the Council of Harrys. Oh, man, it's so great. Oh, I do believe we have our special guest.
Wow, that was great timing.
Good timing as we about to get to the news. Love this. Guys, I can't wait for you to show up here because we have him. Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend. Kyle's here, everybody. Woo! Guys, we have Kyle back. Kyle, you're back on the podcast. I have missed you, Kyle.
Why, thank you. I missed you too, I guess.
You weren't at DistroCon. We missed you.
Yeah, actually, well, he never committed to being at DistroCon 2. He said he might drop by, which I was thought like, we went to DistroCon, our first one together. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, oh man, I kind of hope you would showed up, but you sounded like you were pretty busy.
Yeah, I was pretty busy. Like with all the holiday stuff, it's hard to get off on the weekends when you work them normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, and with your family, I know you do a bunch of stuff on the holidays and stuff too. So yeah, I know you were probably pretty busy. But how you been, buddy?
I've been good. I've been good. I've been much better.
Kyle, I am so glad to have you back because I feel like I've trained Travis at this point to have the same opinion as me on stuff. So I like to have an opposing viewpoint.
disagree.
Someone I have not. Oh, there we go. He's got some life in him still.
Richard, I disagree.
I disagree. I love a good Family Guy quote. Oh, jeez. But yeah, glad to have you back. You were just in time for the news. Would you like to do the news with us?
Sure, I have no idea what the fuck's going on. Tell me.
That's why I'm here.
Me either. I've actually been so sick that I have not been paid attention. All I know is that some more people slept with some people that they shouldn't have in Hollywood. I know that.
Not necessarily slept with, but also felt.
Also, touched or inappropriate. There's a lot of skeezy stuff. Let's not.
Let's avoid that.
Let's.
Yeah, we're gonna try to avoid that.
More confirmation of shit that happens in Hollywood that we're finally punishing them for.
Oh boy, what an interesting time we live in.
And remember, boys and girls, consent is a thing.
But I'll tell you what. Let's kick it over to our friend Justin with his report. This just in with Justin.
Okay. Yeah, so, yes, I've been making a conscious effort to trying to avoid the skeeviness stuff, going on. So, I mean, there is a few I have to mention, because, sadly enough, on our high note that we were talking about the Arrowverse, the showrunner got fired from, I believe, was it Arrow and, the co-creator, essentially, Andrew Kreisberg.
Oh, I thought you meant Greg Berlanti. Okay.
No. So the other creator, Andrew Kreisberg, has been
he get tagged too?
Yeah, he apparently had some sexual harassment allegations, and he's been booted. So, oh, hey, pizza's here. 1 second.
Have the pizza guy join in on the mic. Come on, get him in here.
Everybody gets one guest.
Like, everybody gets one.
Where's my guest?
And ladies and gentlemen, for your enjoyment, Mr. Conway Twitty.
Yes!
Nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as you used to be.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Oh man, I can hear him stiffing the guy on the tip. Can't you hear that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, what an asshole.
Justin, what the fuck, man?
Only a $2 tip? You realize he has to live off of that, right?
Yeah, don't be mean to Cherry, who I'm assuming is your delivery guy's name.
I'm back.
Okay.
We totally weren't talking shit about you. No.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sure. I didn't hear anything about that. So.
Nope. Not that we were recorded or anything like that.
You know what? Fuck it. We're leaving it all in. It's all in. We're leaving it all in.
Sorry. Okay, speaking through there. Yeah. So, Arrowverse co-creator got sacked. There you go. Okay, going back to the other news. So, we've been talking about the people trying to buy up Fox assets now that they're just apparently only focusing on news and sports.
Yeah, people have spelled blood in the water because Fox is getting at it from all sides.
Oh, that's what I said. And you know what? Apparently the previous people are coming back because Disney is once again in talks to buy Fox.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I heard about that one.
I'm so mixed on that because on one level,
on the one hand, though, we'll get Star Wars. We'll finally get a theatrical cut Blu-ray version.
Yeah, which I know is super cool, and I kind of want that. And I kind of like the idea of some of the X-Men crossing over into the Marvel universe. But I also kind of like that the X-Men are off doing their own thing, that they can be New Mutants and Old Man Logan. And I kind of like that they're off in their own little subsection.
That's the part I don't like. Yeah, I'd rather the X-Men not cross over to the MCU because, again, I've always said this, X-Men don't really belong with the other Marvel characters.
No.
Their continuity doesn't really make sense when you put it in comparison. Like, it's nice to see them cross over and meet up with each other, but it's a weird incongruity that I've never liked in comic books, really.
But you know what else it means? Technically, we have a Simpsons level in Kingdom Hearts.
A Simpsons level? See, Travis, you know the way to my heart.
I like the way you
know the way to my Kingdom Hearts.
Think of all the different couch scenes.
Just the
oh
different.
My gosh.
Oh man, now I want a Sora all and Riku and Mickey all joining up on that couch scene, for a Simpsons style intro. Damn it! That would be how you introduce the level. That's how you'd get in there.
That would be awesome.
Oh.
Having them all designed like Simpsons characters, they're all yellow with the weird facial works on them.
Yeah, just change all the spiky hair to yellow.
Fuck! It makes so much sense when you think about it. And now now I so want it so bad.
Well, way to put a positive spin on something that seems like, the evils of corporate juggernauts taking over kind of thing.
See, there you go.
We like to look on the positives.
Wait, I'm the one thinking positive here? Wow, what is wrong with the world?
I don't know.
Boy.
It feels weird.
No, moving on from there, I have to bring us down a little bit because,
Oh, thank God.
Supposedly by Daisy Ridley's admission, it looks like Episode 9 will probably be her last Star Wars film. She's only contracted for the 3 films, and then afterwards, just wherever the story goes, apparently.
Wow, it sounds like they're actually serious about ending the main story after the 3 films. Then, if they said that that's her last one.
Now, this is only hearsay from her.
Yeah,
but
I think she said it was her last one. Like, she was saying it.
Sure, I guess they could still continue the story with Finn, but she's very much the main character.
Well,
yeah,
we'll
so
see
I'm
in The
curious what
Last
they'll do
Jedi.
with that.
Yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
man, I totally forgot with all the other crazy movies coming out. Star Wars is almost right
than a
around
month away.
It's right around the corner, guys.
It's part of the reason why Justice League might not be doing that great in the box office.
Ooh,
It's
man,
right in between Thor and Star Wars.
Justice League better make its money pretty fast because you ain't competing with Star Wars.
No, it's
Yeah.
not making money fast.
Oh boy.
So no, that's the sad thing is that Justice League's being kicked on every side by a Disney-owned property. You got Star Wars, you got Pixar, and then you got Marvel. They're all just
And
beating
here's an
this puppy.
Infinity War trailer because fuck you.
Jeez, that's some corporate bullying if I've ever seen it.
There was a lot of corporate bullying to Justice League.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I kind of dig how vicious Disney is about it. Like every time they drop a fucking trailer for a DC movie, they almost like clockwork drop a trailer.
Yeah, Punisher dropped
Yep.
on the same day as Justice League came out.
It feels petty, but I kind of like it. Like I kind of love the little like it's all soap opera. Like I want to.
Well, it's also super scary because Disney can do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Disney is
Yeah.
kind of our overlords.
Like, imagine if it was a property that we actually cared about that they were doing this to.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Disney owns all the properties we care about at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh boy.
such a juggernaut. Anyway, what's our next story, Justin?
Well, keeping the Marvel train rolling here, supposedly Kevin Feige says that Avengers 4 will be the true finale, quote, quote, of the MCU universe. Now, this is weird because they still have, 20 movies in development for Marvel after Phase 3 and such. But I guess the MCU as we know it will really kind of conclude with this current run of Avengers movies.
Oh, okay. I don't know exactly what that means either.
No one does.
I assume it means that with the whole interconnected, everything leading to, because all the movies have basically while they're their own story, there's always elements that lead to Thanos by the end of it, and I feel like that will be an element that won't be included in anything after Thanos. There's almost nowhere to go after Thanos after that level of threat. So I think that they'll go smaller stakes and
yeah,
stuff.
they have to.
Yeah.
The only thing that they could
universe
possibly
ending
do is if they acquire Fox, Galactus. That would be the only thing that could match that level of intensity.
And not make him a giant cloud, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be hard to do another giant purple monster that wants to destroy the universe.
Yeah. Man, he's purple too. Man, what's Marvel in the purple shit?
I don't know. That's the 70s for you, man. All the crazy colors. But also, do any of you guys keep up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still?
No.
Look, I've actually, I'm not gonna lie, I actually tried to get through, I skipped season 3, I was trying to, half of season 3, I went right to season 4, I'm a couple episodes in, I'm not hating it. Hating it.
No, the Ghost Rider run, the little bit I've seen of it was really, really good.
Yeah, they picked a really good actor for Ghost Rider, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, so I don't know if I want to say fully the story because it might spoil the second half of that season then. But
with the life bottle decoys, no, I know that happened.
Well, not that specifically, but the framework. They introduced that element into
the Matrix. That's right.
Yeah, the framework will appear in season 5 apparently. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were in space now. Ah, man, I'm so confused.
Yeah, no, now they're fighting the Kree in space, apparently. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they pretty much the best thing they could have done for themselves is just said, you know what, screw it.
Wait, they're fighting the Kree? Did you say they're fighting the Kree?
That's what I heard, yeah.
Fuck, okay, I gotta get caught up. I love me some good Kree war.
Okay, and then there's also, they mentioned too, don't get your hopes up for a Zack Snyder cut, because it technically doesn't exist. And if it did exist, it would cost millions and millions of dollars to get it edited and finished the way that people would want it to. And it's freaking 3 hours long. So there's a new story just from Warner's. Don't expect that to see that happening, people.
Well, I think what people don't understand about the cut is that this movie, while there might be some other footage shot, I don't think they did the effects on some of it because
no, that's why it would cost so much.
Yeah,
yeah.
So in with a heavy effects movie like this, there's just going to be scenes where they probably did principal photography and stuff like that, but I don't think they fully rendered anything out
or edited some things out.
Yeah, or so I wouldn't get my hopes up for a huge, what was the Ultimate Edition, that BVS? I forget what they called it.
Yeah, no, the Ultimate Edition, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I sadly admit I actually bought that on a Black Friday shopping thing because it was like $4. So
that's $4 too much.
Man, you should like to add to your collection, my friend. I saw you had
I have a problem.
I saw on your Facebook or whatever that you had Passengers and all this other shit on there too.
Okay, Passengers I actually bought from my brother and his wife because they like that movie. So I'm
okay.
Look, I collect these movies for other people. It's not just for me. So.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And like I told you, Passengers, 2/3 of a great movie.
You're not wrong. I
still
totally
actually
agree.
kind of want to watch Passengers.
It's 2/3 of a great movie.
Yeah,
then that third act.
No, that's a good way of putting it because it's actually not that bad a movie when you think about like in top context. But anyways, we're not talking about Passengers here. Otherwise, So on that note, Justice League though, they did leak some footage that wasn't put into the final cut. And among that footage was footage of Kiersey Clemons. And for those who know, she's going to play, is going to play Iris West in the Flash movies.
Okay.
And there was some rumor going around that they might cut her out because, well, she's not in Justice League, so they can recast her with any actor. But because this footage got leaked out and now people know it exists, they're kind of having to double down. Just like, well, I guess we can't really kick her out just because. I mean, the main reason she joined was because the other director who joined in for Flashpoint, Fumiyama, whatever his name was, the guy who did the Dope movie, she was joining because of him, but then she just stayed on because, well, hey, I got a job. It's, DC. So it'll be curious to see if that actually still happens. Because it's like, it's Iris. I mean, Black Iris is a thing now. That's the popular version of Iris to go with. So,
yeah,
hey, I'm cool with that.
I'm interested in that. I hope they don't make her as, like, I don't really like Iris from the first season of The Flash, of, like, how... I hope she just gets let in on, like, oh, you're the Flash, and deal it with that rather than trying to hide the secret identity.
Yeah,
that's always the weakest part of CW is their stupid love triangles and their soap opera drama.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I have not seen the footage. I don't know what kind of Iris West she makes, but I will reserve my judgment until I see.
Yeah. Well, and apparently DC, we say, like, they're doing course correcting and they're trying to learn from the mistakes. But apparently, again, somebody has a humongous boner for Harley Quinn because they're developing another Harley Quinn movie with Margot Robbie in the principal role as producer and actress in it.
Whoa, wait. There's another one besides Gotham City Sirens?
Yeah, apparently it's just out of the blue. No one has any context for what it means, but just it's another movie, Margot Robbie starring and producing, and it's going to happen at some point.
And they're doing the animated cartoon of Harley Quinn, right, too?
Yeah, the one that we talked about on a Breakfast Pub. Yeah,
man, Harley Quinn is blowing up.
Guess so.
Yeah.
People...
She's
I feel like that might be a problem. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think she's becoming like Deadpool in the 90s was, where he was suddenly in every comic book I was reading.
Yeah. I think that might be a problem that she might get overexposed like the Joker is, though, at this rate. Because, I mean, it's like, look, they're trying a new angle with Harley Quinn, what you said, where her post-Joker romance kind of stuff, but there's only so much you can do before we get burnt out on it.
Well, they still, like, what I like about what they did in the comics was that they changed her up so that after she breaks up with the Joker, it's about how does someone get over an abusive relationship. And then they teamed her up with Poison Ivy. They made it pretty much canon that they were lovers at a certain point too.
Right.
So that doesn't stop her from making out with Batman in one comic, so.
Yeah.
Who hasn't made out with Batman at this point?
I mean, come on.
Batman makes up with every female supervillain. Seriously.
It's kind of messed up, actually.
Yeah.
Since most of his villains are, like, mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't.
Crazy girls probably do it best. Just saying.
On the ethics of Batman.
The ethics of Batman. Here's the thing. It's not really ethical.
Yeah, no, none of what Batman does is actually ethical. Like, if that shit were happening in my city, I'd be calling for his head.
Yeah, it's. I mean, hey, Batman broke my clavicle. I'm going to sue Bruce Wayne. But
no, I'd sue Gotham.
Yeah, sue the city of Gotham because you just let this vigilante run around and beat us up without due process.
You have no proof of that. You have a giant ass signal for him.
All right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What? I'm sorry, that's a maintenance issue. I don't know what you're talking about.
Bats got in it. It's, yeah. Thing.
Man, this sounds like a pretty
boy.
funny college humor skit. Now that I think about it, just like the
I'd watch
ethics. What do you put on your insurance if you get hit up by like Batman?
They'd almost have, like, insurance companies would almost have to have a separate claim for that.
It's like, fuck
Yeah,
this.
is vigilante collateral a thing?
Like, dude, in superhero movies, you'd have to have superhero insurance. Yeah. You'd have to have like alien insurance. Like that would have to be a thing.
It's almost like DC made a TV show about that and then it got canceled. I can't imagine why that would be such a bad idea.
Well, you said DC and bad idea. They're kind of, they're there.
Yeah. Okay. So also a little bit of sad news, I guess, in connection to that. There's the actress who was not the actress. I'm mixing news stories here. The actor who's going to play, in the new season of Legion as the Shadow King, Saeed Maui, who is the guy who was the Algerian guy in Wonder Woman. That guy with the little fez.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. I actually
apparently
liked him.
Yeah, no, he's cool, but there's some filming issues and he won't be in it anymore. So that's a shame.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Legion is one of the only superhero shows I've not caught up on yet, even though everyone tells me it's the best fucking one.
It's really well filmed and well acted. It's just such a arty, fartsy show. Like, it's so much into its own, like...
You're complaining about artsy films?
Yeah.
I know. No, even me, I watched that pilot and I'm like, look, on technically and visually speaking, it's very well crafted. I don't really know what just happened when I watched it. It's such an acid trip the entire time. And it's weird, because my dad watched the whole season, and usually he's not the type to like artsy stuff, and he tried it. He's like, look, it does get clear at one point, and then they just go about going, and you decide what just happened in this sequence. But I know a lot of people like it. So a new person named Kendrick Sampson, who was on How to Get Away with Murder, has joined The Flash as a character called Brainstorm. I don't know who this character is, so it has no point of reference to me.
Yeah, swing and a miss on for me. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Okay, yeah, it feels like Flash, they've already used up all their biggest guns, so it's like, yeah, anytime they announce a new character, it's like, who's this other, like, D-list supervillain that we can pull out of our butts? Or
the waiver Mirror Master.
They did Mirror Master.
Oh, did they do the Mirror Master?
Yeah, he's not like he is in the comics. They switched him up a little bit.
He's actually not bad, though, to be fair. I kind of like the slightly horror angle they're kind of pushing with him, so.
Yeah, they made him a meta like everybody else rather than a dude with like hologram. It's a different take. I don't mind it either.
Yeah. So there's apparently this episode of Doctor Who that was written by Douglas Adams, the guy who did The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and all those young books. Okay. And it actually never was finished, but it's finally going to get completed after 38 years since that episode was filmed.
Whoa, really?
That's surprising.
Wait, so how are they finishing it?
I'm sure they're going to do what they did with some of those other reconstructed Doctor Who episodes with like animated sequences and
they animate the
stuff.
Sequences they didn't finish. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. But
yeah,
it sounds cool. So.
No, that was a cool thing because a lot of those Doctor Who earlier episodes, they actually couldn't use them again because the footage got destroyed.
Right.
So they
actually degraded so much. Yeah.
Yeah. So they actually got the audio for some of them though, and then they animated it, which was a pretty cool, restoration thing. I don't think any other show other than Doctor Who would get that sort of treatment of like, oh man, we lost a episode. Well, let's animate the whole thing instead to get rid of it. But Doctor Who is such a phenomenon that,
Yeah, with how loosey-goosey Doctor Who 2 is as well, it's just like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Animated sequences, show the episode backwards, who knows? But, again, screw Walking Dead, whatever kind of thing. But, two new people joined the cast. One is Maggie Grace from Lost and Taken, who's going to be one of the lead characters now in the new season of Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, my least favorite character in Lost. Awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not a huge thing. But then, apparently it was a big deal about a character from Walking Dead who's going to cross over into Fear the Walking Dead. And, big spoiler, it's Lenny James, the guy who plays, what's his character's name? The guy from the first episode, the dad and the kid.
Yeah.
Morgan. Yeah.
Yes. He's battling no-kill like monk now, which is pretty weird.
Okay, so how they're going to cross him over with Fear the Walking Dead, I'm not exactly sure. But,
well, it makes sense that they would cross over eventually. They are in the same universe.
okay, you know, I think maybe it's during that time, like those first 4 seasons when he just didn't show up at all. Maybe they explained that somehow he traveled all the way across the country and then came back. I don't know. Walking Dead, who cares? So,
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, really. They cast Mulan for the new live-action Mulan film.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, I saw that. Looks. I forget that this actress is from. I recognize her for something.
She's not really big in America. She's been in only a few like Chinese productions. A TV series called The Return of the Condor Heroes, and then Chinese Paladin. Oh, she was in The Forbidden Kingdom, that film with Jackie Chan.
That's where it is. I knew I recognized her. Yeah, okay.
And then she was also in Ip Man 3. She had a role in that one. But yeah, her name is Liu Yifi. Yifi? Sorry, she has an English
try it
name
2 or
called
3 more
Crystal-
times, Justin. We'll get it through.
I really feel bad because I like learning Chinese names, but her English quote name is Crystal Liu, apparently. So, which is kind of cool. That sounds like a really awesome, like exploitation character name, kind of thing, like Crystal Liu.
It sounds. I don't know. It sounds like a fragrance to me. Like, so would you like to try a test case of Crystal Liu?
I would try it. Thank you. Yeah, so that's going on. That Son of Shaft movie that they keep threatening us with, it is happening again, like I said, and they just set it for release in June 14th, 2019. And it will actually star all of the Shafts that have been around so far. So Richard Roundtree and Samuel Jackson are going to be in it along with the new Shaft. So
that's
kind of cool.
I kind of dig that. I'm actually kind of looking forward to that more and more, honestly.
Yeah, it's only the problem that it's directed by Tim Story. It's like, oh yeah, the guy who did the Fantastic Four movies, the first 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Tempered expectations there. But, and then Hellboy is now being set for January 2019. The Hellboy reboot.
Oh, okay.
So
that one does sound pretty interesting to me. I always liked Hellboy, but I'm not in love with Hellboy.
The movies were fine.
Yeah. It definitely has an interesting concept, so I'm interested to see what they do with it.
No, there's a lot of potential, and then they got a good director. It's one of the guys who directed on Game of Thrones and did a bunch of horror films. And then it's Hopper from Stranger Things who's playing the main character, and he looks great in the makeup. So,
and I do love that. I do love Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yeah, he's great. So again, there's some quick, Oscar news. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I have a whole podcast you can listen to me geek out about it. But we got just to tell you, this is going to be a weird Oscar season because there's no frontrunners. There's no one film that everyone's in agreement with. Sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought I heard somebody say something.
No
Sorry.
one said nothing.
I'm hearing voices in my head. But the 3 films so far that have won Best Picture are The Post, Steven Spielberg's new film from the National Board of Review, Lady Bird, that new film from Greta Gerwig and Saoirse Ronan at the New York Film Critics Circle, and then that film Call Me By Your Name that won about the 17-year-old and the 24-year-old in Italy, in France, I believe. Or is it Italy? I forget which one. Italy, yeah. That won at the Gotham Awards. So, and then the Satellite Award nominees came out where it's got Dunkirk and The Shape of Water leading the nomination list. So it is a wide open race for Best Film of the Year this year.
Yeah, a very interesting. Normally, I would have a more set thing of like, oh, this will probably win like Best Picture. So, but this year is very. There's like a distinct like lack of kind of competition between everybody, and I don't really have a clear winner in my mind of what will actually win. What would be your main theory, Justin?
Oh, it's just the problem again. It's like it's just so diverse. Like Lady Bird is getting a lot of love right now, and people are reviewing it highly. But it seems such a small film to win Best Picture. But then Call Me by Your Name, that's getting a lot of attention in the art circles. But I think with all the sexual allegation stuff going on, people aren't ready for a consensual underage romance. Even though I know technically in Italy the age of consent is 14, so whoever was arguing about that, I understand that. But
but that's
and then
a contextual thing.
Yeah, exactly, and I understand that. But and it's again, I couldn't say. I mean, I can't even think of what would be my favorite movie. Although I know my favorite movie so far has been Blade Runner, and everyone's ignoring that film except for technical categories. Shame on you people. But
For shame.
I kind of I've resigned to that. I'm just like, look, I know people are probably not going to give it any attention other than it's good-looking cinematography and art direction, and so be it. But you'll hear more about that on my podcast, hopefully next week. Going on from there, James Mangold, the guy who did Logan, he's decided to take a break from comic book movies, and he's going to do a family-friendly book adaptation called Crenshaw, which is a story about a giant cat, and that's all I know about it, but I know Chris Cox will love it.
I always thought maybe it's an origin story for Sabretooth, but fine.
That would be amazing.
Like he just makes it on accident, like, no, I was trying to not make a superhero film, damn it!
Yes, indeed. So there's also been, there's the new sequel that's being developed for The Girl with the Spider's Web, and I know Nick and I, we've talked about this a couple times. It's the sequel to the English version that came out with Rooney Mara, but it doesn't have any of the same actors. It's all new characters, new actors playing the same characters.
Yes.
And this is technically the fourth book in the series that was taking place after the two sequels to the first film.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't actually hear of this title before, and I haven't seen the Norwegian films, but it's Norwegian, correct?
Yeah, the Norwegian.
Yeah,
girl
I
with
believe
the
so.
dragon tattoo. That's weird. Continue.
Yeah, so that's happening. It's being directed by the guy who did Don't Breathe, Fede Alvarez, and Claire Foy from The Crown is going to play Elizabeth Salander. And now a new character has just joined. You probably don't recognize him offhand, but has any of you seen Mindhunter, that new Netflix series?
No, but I heard good things.
Yeah, well, there's this one guy who you've probably seen in the trailers, and he looks the most like a serial killer in that show. This guy named Cameron Britton, who plays the character Ed Kemper on Mindhunters. He's the really chubby dude with that molester stash that you see in the trailers. He has just joined the movie. So I'm like, okay, he looks spooky. I'm assuming he's going to be a villain, but I'm intrigued.
Love the stash. You gotta okay, I need you to grow out your stash a little bit more. You only look like a porn star now. I need you to look like you have somebody in your basement. There it is.
That's the sad thing. The way that actor looks, it's like you either play a creepy serial killer, child molester, whatever, or you're Ron Jeremy. So.
Oh, man. Kick a guy while he's down.
I know, and that's a sad thing. But hey, everyone said he's a big breakout from that show. So, hey, that's cool. He's getting a big Hollywood project now. So the Detective Pikachu movie just cast another lead character. This person named Catherine Newton, who's a very young actress, and she's just broke out from the show Big Little Lies, that miniseries that came out. So she will play the female lead alongside that other guy who I don't remember the name of that we talked about last week. But yeah, again, Detective Pikachu is still happening. And even funnier is the news that came out right when I posted this story for Breakfast Pub. Japan is just in love with Pokemon. Like, that is just as much a symbol to them as anything else, because Pikachu is now the official ambassador to the city of Osaka.
Okay.
Oh no. Communications have broken down. Maybe we should have picked an ambassador that can say more than one word.
What is the problem? How do we solve this problem? Pika! That's right. I totally agree.
Imagine if you're actually an ambassador and you had to greet this fucking thing every time you walked into the room.
Pikachu in a little government suit or something like that.
How little does that make you feel?
I hate my job.
Wow. I've shook
Like
hands.
Rex Tillerson.
Yeah, Rex Tillerson. So some
Visiting Pikachu. So it's like, oh god, I can't believe I have to negotiate with a guy in a rat costume.
A yellow rat costume.
Oh boy. So even more weird stuff. For some reason, again, the whole girl power thing that's really big in Hollywood, and I understand that. But somebody, particularly Ashley Tisdale from the Disney Channel, if you remember her, decided that it would be really good. You know what the world needs right now? A live-action Daphne and Velma movie. A spin-off from Scooby-Doo. So that is happening. It's coming straight to video, but there's going to be a live-action Daphne and Velma solo movie that's coming out.
Is it how they finally decided to move in together and enjoy their lesbian lifestyle? Because obviously Velma is a LGBTQ representative character.
And
I don't know.
Velma's also the only competent character in that.
Well, I mean, if you were to pick two people to spin off, one of them has to be Velma. Yeah. Otherwise, nothing's getting done.
I guess so. I mean, and then, Daphne and Fred might have an issue with that, but, they can have their gay best friend who's part of it,
Mm-hmm. Well, they did show... I remember in a cartoon where they showed where they lived at a certain point, and Fred, Shaggy, and Scooby in one of the cartoons lived together. and then Daphne and Velma live in another house separately. Like, and I'm like,
I think that was the most recent one.
yeah, and I was just like, wait, what? What's?
That's a very chaste depiction of their.
I don't think it's chaste.
You know?
It's either very chaste of like we're all buddies, or like they're all like have like, or they're like all in a
Scooby Doo is
relationship.
nothing but gay couples.
It's like, yeah, it's all gay couples. Like, I don't know, like, it's not like they're roommates. They're like full-fledged houses that they live together in. Like, it's weird.
That's very weird.
But yeah, any other last-minute stories before we go into trailer talk, Justin?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to speed through this. Hey, Jumanji 2, that Welcome to the Jungle movie, will screen early on Amazon Prime if you're a subscriber. So, there you go. You get to watch the movie first. And the shocking thing
I
is...
just dropped Amazon Prime.
Damn it.
I was in my free trial. There's no way I'm using $99 worth of shipping. I'm not keeping that shit.
And apparently people don't hate that movie. The early reviews have been coming in. They're actually fairly positive, which totally shocked me.
Oh, it looks fun.
I mean, he looked kind of crappy from the trailers, but apparently they're not showing all the best parts of it. So, okay. Hey, I'm all for that. Confederate, that TV show that shocked the internet and caused a whole bunch of think pieces that's being developed by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. It's currently in non-active development. It's not canceled, but it's not being developed right now. So it's in limbo, and we'll see what...
Yeah, for those of you who don't remember, this is the show where it was going to deal with an alternate timeline where the Confederacy won the Civil War.
Although now that puts Amazon in an awkward position because they're still developing their their alternate revisionist history show, the one where the black slaves formed their own nation.
Wait, they have one too?
Yeah, no, that was the big story where Confederate came out and everyone got all pissy about it, and then Amazon's like, well, we're developing our revisionist history show, except it's about how the black slaves got freed and then they formed their own country that's better than the U.S. So it's like, well, now you've lost your competition, so...
It's the origin of Wakanda.
Pretty much. That's what's happening there. And probably the revival that nobody asked for. Jersey Shore is getting revived.
That's funny.
Really?
Yep, with the original cast. Everybody is coming back.
Wow. I can say I did not see that coming.
Nothing dies.
Nothing dies anymore.
Dies. But unfortunately, there are people who do die. And I'm skipping through a few of these RIPs because you guys don't know who they are. Like I usually do. But one, I mean, this one's sad just because it's connected to Ron Howard. His father, Rance, died, who was a very respected character actor. You know, he's beloved in the family there, and he just died at 89. So, that's a shame. But then the one that surprised me, and most people will know this guy because he was in a lot of older TV shows like Andy Griffith and Gomer Pyle. Jim Nabors died. You know, Gomer Pyle himself has passed away at 87.
Aw.
Yeah, you know, gazooks, we've lost a good one there. But, you know, that's the thing. It's like, I get Jim Nabors, you know, he had a very distinct shtick kind of thing, but if I remember correctly, if it's Jim Nabors, he also has an amazing singing voice. I listened to him when he would guest star on, like, The Muppet Show or other talk shows, and whenever they have him to sing, he has a voice like an angel. Like, even doing just country songs, and then at one point he did opera, and I'm like, gosh dang, this guy's got some pipes on him.
I do not remember that.
If you look it up, Jim Nabors singing, he's got some talent. So, but yeah, no, most people remember him as just the big doofus from Gomer Pyle. So, hey, he lived a long life. He lived a pretty full career, apparently. Supposedly, Avatar 4 and 5 will probably not happen, and that's fine by me.
Yeah.
I mean, the term is that they're not guaranteed, but I'm just like, look, just mean that it's just going to be a trilogy. If it has to be a trilogy, which no one asked for, just let it be a trilogy. No more sequels after that.
I would say just make one and see how that works.
Yeah.
like
Pretty much.
Like getting a trilogy is getting a real ahead of yourself, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Really it is. The first Hunger Games is apparently the most Redbox rented movie ever. They just released a list of all the movies that are being rented from red boxes around the world. And yeah, that's apparently the top one that's ever been rented.
Interesting.
That's not too surprising, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was very popular. So I guess it makes a certain level of sense.
If you look at their list, too, it's a lot of very, like, you know, commercial hits. And then, of course, a lot of Adam Sandler movies. Up to. So, Redbox attracts some very basic audiences. On the last one.
I love Justin's like, man, these basic bitches renting Hunger Games and Adam Sandler movies.
That's the article's quote, too. So it's not just me.
Okay, sure. Okay. I'm just quoting an article.
The last one's just kind of a fun intro story. Time Magazine's been going around their Person of the Year, and, you know, we're not going to find out until it actually gets published who's the Person of the Year. It's definitely not Donald Trump like he rumored it to be. But Patty Jenkins is in the running, the director of Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Okay.
Why, I'm not exactly sure, other than she directed a really good female superhero movie.
She directed the
But-
first one.
Well,
I mean,
not the
it was
first one.
for a while there. I mean, I know we forget about it now, but it dominated the Geek news cycle for a while. Is Wonder Woman going to be good? It's got a first female director. Is Wonder Woman, like, even after it came out, is Wonder Woman truly a feminist movie? Like, people talked about it for quite a bit for the few months that leading up and around it. Like, I could see why they might, you know, her name might be in the cultural kind of zeitgeist there.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it's just, when I think of Person of the Year, I think of someone who did more of a huge political or, like, you know, had a truly remarkable story kind of thing. But, you know, I mean, Patty Jenkins has been working in the industry forever. This is her first hit that she's had ever, really. Like, she made Monster, which won an Oscar, but, you know, nobody talks about Monster anymore because only art people watch it. So, hey, that's good. At least she's getting a huge career boost after all this stuff, and I'm happy for her.
Well,
That's
it's hard
nice
to
hear.
pick out like a big moment that happened politically this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, there's been a lot of craziness,
Yeah.
and everybody's talking about Donald Trump's Twitter all the time, but it's really just that
Yeah,
Twitter.
If
You know,
Anything of significance, if something truly terrible happened this year and I can't remember, I feel terrible right now.
yeah.
But I can't, I can't think of anything major that's actually happened. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
pen to paper.
Like, yeah, as far as someone who was like, it was all we talked about for a while, because the thing with even the political climate is we're always moving on to the next thing the next week. We don't talk about any one thing for like more than a couple, like even a day sometimes.
We don't have time.
No, even like those two guys who stopped the guy who shut up that church a few weeks back. It's like, it seems like that just got buried now. It's like they did some pretty heroic stuff there, and it's just like, okay, next thing.
Yep.
It's like it's just a shame, but it's just interesting thinking that too. Just Person of the Year. I mean, that is a big honor. That's really really cool. So
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't be sad to see it go to her. I think that'd be fine.
yeah. Although it is a good point you bring up, Kyle. There, just that. Pretty much Donald Trump's the only thing keeping Twitter alive right now, because people only tune into Twitter to read what Donald Trump is tweeting.
Yeah, and what other people are reading about him tweeting.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was the thing we discussed in my one of my classes this week. Just like, that's the saddest thing where we remember. It's like, remember when we said Twitter was going to die? Like, it's just going to go away after a while, and then Donald Trump saved Twitter. That is so sad.
Sole reason we became president. Save Twitter.
Let's move on to a trailer, please.
Yes.
Let's
Sure, let's do it. I mean, I was thinking about like maybe he can get
I
on
think
Snapchat.
Justin's actually crying on the other
We'll
side.
just cry.
Look, this guy's hysterical. Somebody's got to send someone to him.
Oh yeah.
Yo, Tom from Toonami here. You're listening to the UGO podcast, and I hope y'all are ready, because Trailer Talk starts now.
And welcome to Trailer Talk, guys. Oh my god, I am so excited. We only have one again for today, but it is the big one.
It's bad that you can see Kyle.
I love he's trying to hum like, what is the Avengers theme that Justin's trying to hum right now?
Hey, you know, people say Marvel has no good music. The Avengers theme, you can actually hum that one if you
Yeah.
just listen to it. Come on.
I
It's
do
not
like
that
the
hard.
Avengers.
Listen to it, but nobody remembers it, Justin. Nobody remembers it.
I remember it once they start to
remember it.
play it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is their theme. But yeah, that's what we're watching today because Infinity War dropped its trailer because they don't like they thought like, well, Justice League is not doing so great in the box office, but I think we can make it do worse.
It's still standing on a leg.
So
Let's kick it.
let's kick it while it's down.
It could make a few $100.
We're going
for
to Tanya
them.
Harding them and hit it in the kneecap.
Yes.
So yeah, guys, this has been like what almost a decade in the making here,
You
basically.
think about it, yeah.
About a decade, because didn't it come out 07?
What was the first
For
Iron Man?
Iron Man?
We were in high
08.
school when
08.
Iron Man
08.
came out.
Oh wait. So yeah,
Yeah, so it's been,
almost 10 years. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
We're old.
no, I still remember where I was when I saw the first Iron Man movie. You know, when I saw that one, just like, that was pretty good. I never would have thought 10 years down the road we're going to see more movies that all connected to that. You know,
no, it's It's crazy once you
Don't
think about
forget that technically the Incredible Hulk is part of the MCU
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
I don't forget. I like that movie. I don't care what anyone says.
I thought it was decent for a
I kind of
Hulk
like that one
movie,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it was probably the best Hulk movie, so...
Well, there's no other
Yeah,
Hulk movie.
I mean, unless
Yeah,
unless you call
exactly.
Thor Ragnarok a Hulk movie, it's...
I would.
And then unless you compare it to the Ang Lee turd.
But yeah, the Infinity War trailer dropped this week, so without further ado, I think we can just get into it. Let's give that one a watch.
There was an idea.
I had one once.
A shared
together
universe, if you will.
A group of remarkable people
Damn.
to see if we could become something more.
Oh my god.
He grew skin.
Paul Bettany.
Us.
I love
We
Paul
could fight
Bettany.
the battles.
That they never could.
Eyebrows?
I like the blonde. I like blonde Black Widow there.
I like the blonde hair. I don't like the invisible eyebrows.
In time, you will know what it's like to lose. To feel so desperately that you're right.
I know what it's
yet
like to lose. We
fail
made Iron
all
Man
the
2.
same.
Spidey
And-
sense.
Yeah.
Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
Of course he would turn on them.
Evacuate the city.
Scarlet Spider, baby!
Engage all defenses. And get this man a shield.
A line that's found in 1,000 memes.
Oh, that's why I see Captain America's got a different kind of beard this time around.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe.
Dang.
But this
Yeah.
does put a smile on my face.
Oh, it's Homer Simpson.
Damn.
Who the hell are you guys?
So, by the way, spoilers for
Holy
Black Panther,
shit.
Michonne and Winter Soldier don't die. There you go.
That could be a trick. You don't know that.
So the
Well, it's good to see that the Vision finally took a shower and got all that purple
yeah,
shit
you got
off
that
of him.
purple shit off of him. Like, good for you. He didn't look so great at the other end of the trailer.
Not so much.
I don't think things work out for him.
But we kind of knew it.
So there's a lot to get through on this trailer here.
This is jam-packed full of content, and yet it's not a mess like a lot of DC movies are.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's the one thing I'm worried about is how big the cast is of just how many stories they have to juggle. But the thing I'm digging about it is this. We've seen the Avengers movie. We've seen team-up movies. Like, that's what we've seen so far. But this one is the first event comic where it's an event that happens in the comics where it's all hands on deck.
It's a full crossover.
Like, this Thanos is a level of threat where, like, okay, everybody, we gotta take care of this right now.
Let's go get the raccoon.
So, like,
Well, and then also, it's technically a two-parter, too, because there's the fourth Avengers movie that's technically not part two, but it is the sequel to this story.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
well, I feel like this one, when I first saw the Avengers Age of Ultron, I thought this one would end on a darker note. Like, it would be the Empire Strikes Back. And this is the feeling I'm getting from this trailer, is that shit is... It'd almost have to be that Thanos, to establish himself as a threat, he has to come down and give the Avengers an ass-whooping like they've never had before.
Yep.
And
He has to murder quite a few people to be able to be that much a threat, you know?
well, I already like him just beating up people, because he hits Iron Man like that dude owes him money. and it's
Where's my money?
like, did you see that hit where he nailed him on that fucking
Yeah, he just was out cold. It was like
poof? Like it was a fight like
it was
Ender.
like watching early Silva fights. It was just like bam, out.
It was, yeah, you almost wanted to go like, oh man, Hammer, don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. We see Vision later, like, obviously he has one of the Infinity Gems on him, and Thanos needs, all of those.
Yeah, it kind of keeps him alive.
So here's the level of threat Thanos is that when Thanos comes down, if he doesn't have any of the Infinity Gems, at least this is from the comics, if he doesn't have any of the Infinity Gems, you can tangle with him. Like, it's still super dangerous, but you can tangle with him. If he gets one fucking Infinity Gem, and in this trailer he has two, shit ain't gonna go your way. Like, it's not great. Like, man, there's so much setup and reveals in this trailer. I love the reveal of scraggly looking Cap. Get this man a shield. I'm like, fuck yeah, get his ass a shield. We see we see Wakanda getting in on the action, fighting. I'm assuming Thanos' forces. We see the Scarlet.
Okay, so I have a thing with the Wakanda army thing. It's like, so apparently none of the other Earth armies could help fight this battle, other than the dudes with the Zulu spears and the shields.
I don't know. I feel like we never really see Earth's army anymore. Like, we saw the army in the Incredible Hulk movie that we were talking about. But otherwise, we see S.H.I.E.L.D., and, like, that's about it. As far as, like, actual...
Yeah, a few police officers, a few FBI agents, that's about it.
Well, and Wakanda is supposed to be one of the most advanced nations in the world. They're supposed to be like an Atlantis style of civilization.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that they'd be in the forefront, but we don't see any of their technology in the trailer yet.
Maybe it'll make more sense once we see Black Panther.
Yeah.
I love that shot where they're all running and going to fuck some shit up. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got, like, you see Bucky, Cap, Hulk, Black Widow's in there. Black Widow's got the blonde look for Black Widow. Here's how I think about, there's a character in the comics with Black Widow too that also has blonde hair. That's what she's reminding me of. Also, she's a spy, so she can change her hair up. Yeah. But also, it makes me super suspicious.
No, I get that. It's just an odd look, but it's an odd look for her.
It makes me super suspicious because everyone knows that if you've been listening to the podcast, I have a running theory about fucking Skrulls. And guess what? In the comics, when Black Widow 2 turned out she was a fucking Skrull. And I don't know, like, for me now I'm seeing Skrulls everywhere where I'm like, I see the blonde hair.
You just want that to happen.
I see blonde hair, I'm like, no, she's a fucking Skrull.
You want Secret Invasion to happen so hard.
She's a fucking Skrull. I swear to God, if they kill somebody in one of these movies and they turn out to be a Skrull at the end, I will lose my shit.
I might actually have to start bringing, like, earplugs to Infinity War just in case that happens, but like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. I like Thanos's presence. It's interesting that they showed him without the helmet on.
Yeah.
Like, they almost never show him without the helmet on.
Yeah, that's the thing is that there's been so many memes about that lately, about, people redesigning Thanos to look like other stuff because he's just got such an odd shape to his face. And the one I can't get out of my head is someone colored him yellow and gave them the Homer Simpson beard and hair.
Yep.
So I'm just like,
So I'm of two minds on it. I kind of don't like it because it looks like it's visually strikes me as weird because we've only ever seen him with the helmet.
Right.
But
yeah,
I do like the fact that he comes down and he's in his casual wear. Like, he doesn't like...
He's picking up his groceries.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, I'm sick of waiting for people to pick me up these Infinity Gems. I'm coming down to go get them. And it's like he's going out for groceries. Mm-hmm. Like, no, I'm just going to get these.
2 cartons of milk, a loaf of bread, and all your Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're currently out. Check in the back.
You better check in the back, buddy. I'm just thinking about, okay, who's going to die in this movie? A lot of people's contracts are up at this point.
Spin the wheel, Raggedy Man.
They'll either be up now or they'll be up the next movie. That's really the big thing.
Yeah. I feel like we gotta lose either Cap or Iron Man. Like, to resolve their story from Civil War. One of them has to make a noble sacrifice while saving the other.
Right.
Like, that's what I feel like it probably will happen. I'd nix Iron Man, to be completely honest. Mm-hmm. I feel like
I think so.
His storyline's pretty much all but done.
But who's
Well,
the
because
better?
they left him on a positive note on Spider-Man, where he's getting married. So, what better way to deal with that than just pull the rug out from under him?
But who's the better martyr? The person who can get redemption in the eyes of his nation, of Captain America.
No, if Captain America dies, I might cry in the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
Aww.
as far, I was thinking in more aspect of people they could afford to lose.
Yeah.
But if you want to gut punch us, yeah, you kill Cap.
Yep.
Yeah.
In
if-
Bucky's arms.
If Cap's last dying ass, like, I told you I got your back, Tony. Get everybody out of here. I'll fight Thanos to the end. I swear to God, I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm like getting choked up.
I'm pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now, but the state says I gotta show these videos.
No, even better is that Bucky comes up it's like, yep, with you till the end, and they fight together. But he, of course, pushes Bucky out of the way at the final moment.
Yeah. Because, they were together at the end. Now, I do like the Guardian. I don't know how the Guardians come into this. I feel like they're probably going to be in their own separate story, and that they might not even.
Well, it does look like Thor finds them.
Yeah.
Right. Or they find Thor.
Which is the stinger at the end of Thor. So.
Yeah, and
Well, technically it's not the actual stinger, but there was the leaked footage that they showed in a Comic-Con where how they find Thor, like he's just floating out in space and the Guardians pick him up, apparently. So.
Do you think we can get anything off of his body? Let's bring him in anyway. That's 100% how that happens.
There's this race of Norse gods that exist in the same universe as the Guardians of the Galaxy. You don't think anyone is like, do you think they recognize it as like, oh, that's an Asgardian, kind of thing, or?
Hell no.
No, I just imagine Rocket.
You saw what happened on that trash planet. There's no way they recognize him.
No, but then the Collector, he recognized Asgardians when they approached him at the end of Thor 2. Yeah. So
I think the Collector's a bit of a
nuanced
not
situation.
nuance, but a exception to the rule.
Yeah,
I guess.
I do.
I just imagine Rocket coming like, ooh, come on, I want his eye. His other eye.
Give me his other eye.
Give me his eye patch.
So
I need it for a thing.
So what do we think about Loki with that the cosmic cube there?
I called that the instant that they hinted at it in Thor Ragnarok. It's like, duh.
Yeah, Nick called that too on us. So.
Yeah, it's a very logical way for it to go. I like to think people are saying that it's a question of whether he betrays the Asgardians to Thanos. Like if this has been a long con. Obviously,
I don't know of him betraying the Asgardians, but I think he's still being hunted by Thanos because of the events of the Avengers. So this is like maybe in the back of his mind, this has always been in his mind of like, I need to turn this in to save my own skin, kind of thing.
I wouldn't put past them because they've kind of gone on a redemption arc for him.
Yeah.
I would like to see that by the end of Thor, the Asgardians and their ship gets fucked up. Thanos is like killing the shit out of them, and Loki comes up to try and barter for their survival, like for everybody, and then Thanos murders the shit out of him too. Because we only see that.
That would break hearts everywhere.
If we only see the one scene of him in the trailer. It's
true.
We see Thor a couple times, we see the Guardians, but we see Loki but once.
And his staff once.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Loki is gonna make it. I think you better saddle up because I think we're gonna see a couple deaths in this movie.
And Norse gods, they recycle.
Oh yeah, there better be.
And yeah, I don't mean to say that I want people to die in this movie, but it's almost at this point now where you have to establish stakes to a point.
Right.
Where
if one of the strongest beings in the universe comes down and doesn't kill somebody, it's a little awkward.
Well, that's what Kyle's point of killing Cap. If they kill Cap in the next movie, it would feel like almost anyone could go.
Yeah.
So it's a great way of, establishing stakes and stuff.
Yeah, especially since the Marvel movies, for the most part, have been devoid of stakes, unless they're innocent bystanders in a house that gets dropped.
It's surprising that the most consequential things that have happened have been in like Thor Ragnarok with the Asgardians and them fucking those guys up.
Well, I mean, they did disestablish a government organization in Winter Soldier. So.
Yeah, I mean there have been stakes before, but there haven't been like
character stakes.
Yeah, you pretty much know when you're walking into a movie like, yeah, Cap's gonna make it through this. Like everyone's gonna make it through. Like in this one, it's
we'll
very
get our
much
happy ending.
Yeah, and like it was kind of a cheap shot in Age of Ultron where it's like, oh, somebody's gonna die, and it was the person that they introduced earlier in the movie as a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't see Hawkeye in this trailer now that I think about it.
No.
Did you guys see Hawkeye?
I don't remember seeing Hawkeye.
Yeah, no, they didn't show him, and they didn't show Ant-Man in this one.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Of course, they could have shown Ant-Man, but we might not have seen him.
We might not have seen him.
Might have been like a pixel.
So
he was actually running with everybody in the group. He's just really, really tiny in the grass there.
Yep.
I was thinking, I think I was watching the Double Toasted crew as well, and they were talking about wouldn't it be a kick in the dick if since Disney doesn't technically own Spider-Man outright, if they were to fuck over Sony by killing him too?
There's no way Sony would allow that. They see those scripts as well.
Yeah,
No.
so I'm pretty sure Spidey's gonna be safe.
Though I did like in this trailer the fact that they introduced the spider sense so nonchalantly, just like, look, you know what that means.
Yep.
You know, kind of thing.
Visual
I really
storytelling.
appreciated that.
It's like, yeah, we all know what that is.
Yeah.
We all know the score.
We don't have to have him ever say again, my spider senses are tingling.
I do like the reference back to the Scarlet Spider suit from the end of Homecoming. That's pretty neat. I wonder how he gets that because he turns it down.
It's the Iron Spider. It's Iron Spider, not Scarlet Spider, technically, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Iron Spider. I forget the names of it, but like Scarlet Spider is the clone version of him. I forgot.
It's funny because you said Iron Spider earlier today.
Yeah, I was like Iron. It is his Iron Spider suit, which in the Civil War comics he has like extender things on his back that are kind of neat. Yeah, because he doesn't accept that at the end of Homecoming. He's like, no, I want to do my own thing, sort of thing. So I wonder how he.
Well, he also thought it was a test.
Yes. Oh, I guess he could. Yeah, that's
It's like,
funny.
oh, wait a minute. They're going to kick me out if I accept this.
He was overthinking that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, what I like about this trailer too is just how much it can show without us having to feel like we've seen the movie at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't know what the fuck it's about other than Thanos comes down. And
That's the
I know
movie.
about Thanos coming down.
Well, the thing is
That's
about
all
it,
you
we
need
have
to know. Thanos.
Yep.
It's time. It's
we
here.
don't really know Thanos' motivations. In the movies, they never really explained it. In the comics, his motivation is that he wants,
To fuck death.
yes.
Literally, like,
Yeah.
honestly to goodness, fuck death.
So we still have not yet had that explained in the movie universe. So we could delve into that. I like the idea of getting all these people. I mean, we see fucking Banner, obviously, he crashed through the Sanctum Sanctorum as Hulk. Like, that's hilarious. Like, he just fucks all that shit up. And we see Betty Wong as what's his name? Doctor Strange's buddy.
Wong. That's his name. His name's Wong in the show.
Yes, that's right. So I like seeing Doctor Strange very prominently in the trailer. The Guardians hanging around with Thor at all, like that's pretty cool. I really like that, especially given how funny we've seen Chris Hemsworth be.
Yes.
I feel like that's a very
Well, the two goofiest movies now been paired together, so.
That's a good move. That's probably, I feel like that they'll be
The
their
two most 80s movies.
Did I say something
We're
different?
just keeping the eras separate.
Yeah, I feel like
Separate but equal. Those are terrible terms. Nobody ever uses again.
I do think that I don't think we'll see the Thor and the Guardians almost on Earth in this movie. I think they'll hang in space dealing with some other Thanos threats that they're trying to deal with.
Of course, Hulk has to get back somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how
shoot him
Yeah.
into space.
like they did. Like he just crashed in the Sanctum Sanctorum. I don't know how the fuck he gets there. That's weird.
I don't know how Hulk
Yeah, but then
traverses
they're also-
the universe at all. We just kind
But
of
then also
accept it.
Iron Man's there with them.
Oh.
Where did Iron Man meet Doctor Strange?
Wait, the Tesseract. It's the space gem.
Oh, yeah.
Remember,
yeah.
it opens portals and shit.
It's true.
Yeah, that's an easy way around. Maybe they lose so bad they're like, we gotta send somebody back, but we don't know where it's gonna send them. We'll send the guy we know can survive whatever, and just throws them through a portal. We have the Vision's Mind Gem and the Infinity Gem Thanos has obviously got. The other gems are still kicking around. I think that, the Collector has one. Sanctum Sanctorum basically has to get hit because he still has the Time Gem, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get fucked.
So,
Well, yeah, because there's only one gem they haven't shown yet, right? Or
no, I think all the gems are accounted for. What is it? We got space. We got the Guardians. Is the Guardians one? The Power Gem
Power,
is with
yeah.
that one's
Yeah.
with the Nova Core.
Yep.
Also gonna get fucked.
Yeah,
there's Nova Corps does nothing but die in these movies.
No.
They're not.
no.
gonna
You
stop
notice he already
dying.
he already has that gem in the glove on the trailer, so clearly he already effed them over really badly. So
sorry, Nova Corps.
I can almost that might actually be a good place for Guardians to meet up with Thor. Then would be to see the wreckage of the Nova Corps.
Well, that Nebula should have a bigger role in this since she is on a kick of getting revenge on Thanos, right? I feel like she should have a bigger storyline in this.
Yes.
But yeah, I think all the gems are accounted for, and it's all a matter of just Thanos collecting them, basically. I mean, I think Josh Brolin is a great pick for the voice of Thanos. I'm a little concerned that he's another giant CG dude.
Also purple.
Also, he's purple. He's definitely more distinctive. I like that they gave him the chin. I like the chin. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. How else would you design Thanos? I mean, makeup would just probably look awkward on him, you know?
Yeah, well, you have to have him be a physical threat to, like, he's got to be a guy that can take a punch from the Hulk, spit out a little blood, and go like, yeah, is that all you got?
Get angry.
Dude, that needs to be a callback to that movie. That would be great.
Yeah. I do like how he's talking about, like, you know what? I don't normally do this sort of thing, like getting my hands dirty, but does put a smile on my face. Like, he's kind of enjoying himself, getting out and...
like I said, it's his time out.
It's like he's getting exercise or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, I don't really have much else to say about this trailer other than I'm super excited. Anyone else have any last minute thoughts?
It's awesome. It's a great trailer.
Yeah, just Justice Who.
Justice Who. But yeah, with that, we're going to take a small musical break, and we'll be back with our Justice League review right after this. And welcome to Justice League spoiler review, guys. I was actually pretty, I'm not sure excited is, I am excited. I feel like this movie is very interesting, to at least talk about in context of not only the movie itself, but where the DC EU films are at right now and where they are going forward. So I think it's actually an interesting groove. But, as stated, it is a spoiler review, so we're not going to cut back on anything. We're just going to talk about the movie. It's been out for this is the third week it's been out, right?
If you guys haven't seen it, you don't care.
Yeah. And now with that Avengers trailer coming out, I don't think anyone gives a shit anymore.
That's true.
So no one cares.
It's been sandwiched between Thor Ragnarok coming out and a new Avengers trailer, so
Yeah, so that being said, if you have not seen the film yet for whatever reason, then, or, maybe you don't care about spoilers, but we are going to be spoiling pretty much everything about the movie. There's no spoiler section. It's all spoilers.
This is it.
You got it? Okay. We gave everyone ample time to get out of here. So with that,
you've been warned.
With that said, 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay.
Superman comes back! Oh, sorry.
Superman is back.
And I actually didn't hate it.
Well, let's start off with the beginning here. Travis, he actually went to go see the film without me this today, basically. I was supposed to get up, but I was sick this week, and I didn't get up in time to go and catch it with him. Because I wish I had gotten the rewatch to refresh on it.
Yeah.
Because it has been...
You haven't seen it for like a week now.
Well, yeah, and it's not like it's that fucking memorable. Like, okay, for what I thought of, spoilers for what I thought about it, I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much my reaction to it. It's like, that was a movie that was passable in some circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to be a broken record, but yeah, I thought it was just okay. It's not great, it's not even good, but it's not bad or horrible. It's just kind of, it is what it is kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, I would actually say that it's obviously better than BVS, but every time I make that comparison, the movie goes down. Like, remembering that BVS exists actually makes this movie worse.
It's funny that you should mention that, because I feel like what works to Justice League's favor is that Justice League at certain points pretends that Batman vs. Superman didn't happen.
Yes.
Or they make fun of how stupid it was, ultimately.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is that Justice League treats it like events like BVS happened, but the characters are basically different. Like the the Batman, it basically acts like a completely different character. He acts like him and Superman were best buds.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the weird thing where they try to recontextualize the whole thing. Like, no. The world didn't hate Superman in the end. They really miss him because he was a symbol of hope. And it's like, wait, weren't they like trying to like do congressional hearings to try him for treason and for collateral damage and
being an illegal alien?
Yeah.
They were actually immigration hearings. So
there's a lot of on-the-fly retconning in this film. And actually, I don't mind that. It actually, a lot of it works to the film's favor in certain points.
Yeah, not as a part of a universe, but at least in its own context.
As this movie.
I would say this is one of the few movies that I would say it works better if you have not seen BVS.
Oh,
actually.
definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, when you think about it, there's not a lot of callbacks. Like, nothing that was in this movie, it's not pertinent for you to know anything else that happened before, really.
No, Batman died. That's the most important part.
Superman.
Yeah, there's Superman.
Whatever.
There's certain elements that are directly conflict, like the Mother Box, the cyborg being created by the Mother Boxes or whatever.
That's a new angle they introduced in the comics, right?
I don't know if they introduced in the comics. That's not how Cyborg's origin works in the comics, from what I remember.
Well, because I remember Injustice does that too, where he can use boom tubes to travel as well.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that you might be right about that. Well,
yeah.
So in BVS, they treat it like, oh man, look, they use the Mother Box to create him like before the whole of the events of Batman versus Superman, and then later it in Justice League it says after Superman died, the Mother Box is activated.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well you can't. That directly conflicts actually with timeline.
Yeah. So was he not around before? Because I'm assuming that he was saved from death before Superman died, but he was just a head on a table or something like that.
Maybe.
Well, and then I know we're gonna do the whole Marvel comparison at some point, but it's one of those things that like, yeah, for the most part, Marvel wouldn't make a continuity mistake like that.
No,
like for the most part,
it's tiny mistakes.
Yeah, not that major.
Like it's pretty glaring. It's pretty glaring. So this film starts off with a Batman sequence right out of
No. It starts off with maybe the most glaringly obvious technical cover-up they ever did in the whole film. When
I totally forgot about the mustache thing. Did you catch the mustache thing, Travis?
Mm-hmm. How could you miss it?
It's pretty hard to miss.
It's the worst in the beginning, which is I don't even know why they make that. Why they do that?
I basically had to close my eyes. I was like, oh nope,
no. See, okay, the only purpose of that scene, because for people who haven't seen it and are or if you have anyways. It's a thing where they have these kids, videotaping Superman on an iPhone, just like, hey, tell us about yourself. What do you do? The only purpose of that scene is to make Superman look nicer than he was in the previous movies, because otherwise we'd have no reason to believe why people would care or like Superman. But the problem is, it's using low pixelated iPhone footage and trying to cover it up, the fact that he is wearing a mustache. Like, if they just shot it on film, it might have been easier to fix, but because it's on iPhone pixelation footage, the editing is so terrible. It looks like he has like skin grafts on his chin and on his face. Like
his lip looks so fucking weird.
It's pretty creepy.
He looks like a lizard person. I don't know what the fuck was that. What that was about. It was
different kind of alien.
I could catch it later in the film, but not to this glaring extent.
No, it popped up like anytime they got really close shot of him. It was like, yep, there it is. But most of the rest of it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was funny because I actually pointed this out in a news report for the Breakfast Pub on One of Us, but. Apparently, WB actually offered to pay to put a CG mustache on Henry Cavill for Mission Impossible 6. Just like, look, we'll let him shave, and we will front the bill to edit the mustache in. And they just said no. So they had to screw them over, just like, okay, now we have to do all this money to edit out a mustache, which seems much harder in comparison. So...
I would have, if it was me, I would have just given him the whole mustache and beard, actually. I would have, I don't know.
Then how do dead bodies grow mustache and beards?
Because the mother boxes make it. Because it creates a large amount of life. It'd be easily explained.
Then they said that his body doesn't decompose at all.
Exactly.
They could be sick.
No, that would have been so easy.
Actually, no, okay, that would have been funny where, like, if he comes out and he's got like long flowing locks and a huge beard, like he did in that Justice League episode when he was stranded on the alien planet.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
No, I was thinking about this in the movie where I was like, no, the mother boxes could have solved this.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? They're just the giant MacGuffins anyways.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we open up with Batman out of a scene right out of one of the Arkham Asylum games, where he's picking on one of my favorite character actors whose name I can't remember, but he's from that.
Was it like John Mulaney or something like that?
He's from that awesome series Lights Out that was on FX for one season before it got canceled. If you haven't checked it out, that TV show is fucking awesome. And yeah, so he catches that guy only to use his fear to lure out a parademon.
Which I don't like.
Holt McCowney, that's his name.
Yes. Okay.
I don't really like Batman using a living being as a bait.
I've seen him do other shit, and compared to BVS, it's actually pretty tame. But yeah, so the parademon he has to fight, and he's like, okay, it's a scout. Bad shit is coming. I gotta hook up with Wonder Woman and get a team together to get ready to fight this shit.
Okay, so this scene also was definitely, like, they spelled it out. This was a reshoot scene.
Yes.
And it's kind of obvious because the exposition they cram with a giant crowbar into the part of the script, it's so awful. Like, like, oh my, is that an alien?
The worst part about this movie is the first hour. The first hour, it feels at once overlong and too short. What I mean by that is that again, it has the same BVS editing in it where you go from one scene to another scene really fast, but it takes forever because we have three new characters to introduce, as well as introducing 2 or 3 other characters,
right? And then villains, and then future subplots, and also the fact too that there's only 2 speeds to this movie: either Zack Snyder whiplash fast, or Joss Whedon even pace slow. Yeah. And it's really obvious when they shift between those scenes. And I'm sure not all of them are Joss Whedon when they're slower scenes.
Yeah.
But there's just such a there's such a whiplash going from like super high octane action, and then the scene just ends. There's no winding down. It's just, okay, Wonder Woman stops a bunch of terrorists, and it's over.
Right. I feel like if I sat down and tried to mark it off, like which scenes I thought were Joss Whedon and which scenes I thought were Zack Snyder's, I feel like I could get pretty accurate.
Well, because also, if you notice, there's a different film grain between their scenes. Like, Zack Snyder very clearly shot on film, and Joss Whedon shot on digital. And it's not super noticeable, but you can kind of tell based on the lighting where, the really flashy sequences are Zack Snyder kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't mean to disparage Zack Snyder at all, because a lot of this movie, the reason it has its tone shift is because Joss Whedon's reshoots had to come in over what Zack Snyder already shot, and Zack Snyder had to leave the project due to a family tragedy. So I have nothing for sympathy for him, but you can tell the parts I like about this are pretty much the Joss Whedon parts.
Yep.
Like, when this film slows down after the hour mark, when it has a point where Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Batman and Aquaman just hang out together.
Chill, yeah.
It's actually, I'm like, oh, well, now we have a movie. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they actually have decent camaraderie between the group, It's like, if these actors are given room to breathe, they can actually do this really, really well.
Well, the first hour with all the introductions to everybody, it's so little fanfare is given to anybody's introduction. Like, do you realize this is the first time we've seen Atlantis, and I can't really tell you distinctively what Atlantis looks like? Yeah, it's underwater.
And apparently they need air bubbles to speak to each other, which seems
what
like
the fuck was that?
That was weird.
Yeah, that's a huge disadvantage.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's the problem where Batman v Superman blew its load too early, because there was that whole QuickTime footage that they had of each of the superheroes. It's like, that should have been the intro to these characters in this movie. But for some weird reason, introducing them that early, it kind of deflates any anticipation for their arrival, I feel, at least.
Yeah, and so in the first hour, the characters don't say anything to each other other than exposition, and it's fucking painful to listen to. And and again, when I compare it to, let's say, the Avengers, which this film is very much obviously aping, the reason that Marvel films are funny is because when you create funny dialogue between characters, when you have to write jokes, you're almost forced to write character interactions with each other.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, well, I have to say something funny about this character. What would this character think is funny about the other character?
Because otherwise you just have people telling jokes to the screen, which isn't going to sell.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can overwrite those scenes, because that's the problem with Age of Ultron, where they thought they had to be funny all the time, and it kind of deflated any of the attention in the plot. So it's about putting these people in real situations where they can be funny with each other. Like where it feels organic to make a joke in the situation. And, that sometimes it requires some hurdles to be jumped, but it is possible to write natural jokey dialogue between these characters. Even Batman, who managed to get he gets gets a couple laughs in this movie, but it has to be earned in those moments.
Yeah, and the reason that like when you make such a serious, try to make such a serious fucking tone for these movies is that you get trapped, especially with Snyder's direction, is that you just end up with people telling each other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like,
you can have serious movies, but you can't be self-serious. And I think that's the biggest problem that Zack Snyder has with a lot of his movies.
Yeah, and I'm like, you just end up with Aquaman saying like, this is what I am. I did this, and I'm part of this thing. Cyborg's like, this is how I was created. Yep. And it's like, okay, I get this.
There's no visual storytelling.
It's a lot of tell, not a lot of show. And the parts we do get shown, which is when Steppenwolf finally shows up, and we're gonna have to talk about Steppenwolf in a minute, but we'll just talk about this scene in particular.
I love the band, but
the only reason I remember his name is because of the band thing. So they open up with Steppenwolf coming to the Amazons, and it reminds me of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Sequence in Avengers, where Loki shows up and takes over that shit.
Oh, it's pretty much the same scene.
Yeah.
A giant blue glowing cube that summons a interdimensional demon or alien or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much the exact same sequence.
Yeah, so it's hard to not, like, think about that. And then I'm like, why is this scene not working for me like the other one did? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, Steppenwolf is awful. Like, almost from every perspective, Steppenwolf is an awful fucking character.
Well, and he's just so bland. I don't even think it's so much he's awful. There's just nothing remarkable at Steppenwolf, Well,
that's what I mean about how awful he is. I would prefer if he looked weird or if he was straight up bad, but right now he's just so uninteresting that during the film I forget who they're fighting. Like I'll go like, oh man, I'm having fun here. Oh man, Superman came back from the dead. That's cool. Yeah, what's this event they're talking about? Oh, that's right, Steppenwolf is still kicking around. And so I mean, I think Steppenwolf is also, he's a giant CG man for almost no reason. Like, I don't understand. He's just a giant dude. And I'm like, why didn't you just get a dude?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, the guy that got the voice, he would definitely not look physically imposing, because that was the biggest problem with Wonder Woman, where you get what's his name? David Thewlis, who is about as milquetoast a person as you can think of, trying to play the God of War.
Well, that's the problem with all the DC films, that I'm tired of hearing Marvel has a villain problem, which, don't get me wrong, the Marvel villains could be better too, but DC has villain problems in spades. They've never had a good fucking villain.
They don't have any Lokis.
They don't have any Lokis or anything.
Well, I mean, they try to do it with like Zod and Jesse Eisenberg's character, like Luthor, and it's just they don't know what makes these characters interesting. So it's like, yeah, you get some dude who plays a crazy billionaire, but we don't like Lex Luthor because he's a crazy billionaire. We like him because he's a super smart and charismatic dude. Yeah. Something that Eisenberg had nothing of in that movie.
No. Well, and then Lex Luthor, for anything, is supposed to feel... I should feel like... I don't want to insult anyone's interpretation of the character, but Lex Luthor should feel like he's competent. Mm-hmm. And in BVS, it feels like everyone in that movie is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and Steppenwolf kind of feels that way too, to be fair. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this because, daddy won't let me back home, so I need to go there. And it's like, we get told that, but we never feel like that motivation's big enough to get invested. It's like, at least in Guardians, they showed Thanos, over, what's his name? Ronan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
So you at least show a power struggle there. Here, we get a reference to Darkseid for Steppenwolf, but it means nothing to anyone who has never heard of a DC comic before.
It barely means anything to me. I don't know what their version of Darkseid is in here. Yeah. And look, Steppenwolf, he comes down, and his whole deal is that he came to Earth thousands of years ago to conquer it for Darkseid, and he failed. And like, this is a pride thing for him. Like, oh, maybe if I, succeed here, Darkseid will let me back into his good graces.
I mean, did anyone get that Lord of the Rings feeling when that sequence happened, when they showed the flashback with Steppenwolf, where it's like, the armies of man, the Amazons, and the Atlanteans banded together against the One Ring. I mean, Steppenwolf.
Well, look, this is one of the things where I'm like, oh, shit, this is a good idea. You're introducing lore. You talking about a Green Lantern showed up to help you help them fight.
Cool. And it got killed.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea right there. They showed the gods fighting them. They showed Zeus throwing lightning bolts and shit. And I'm like, yes,
I wanted to watch that over anything else.
Like, this is good shit right here. And then, but when Steppenwolf shows back up, when he talks with the Queen of the Amazons, it's like he's meeting her for the first time, or doesn't really care about her or something. And I'm like, well, if he's all butthurt about getting pushed back thousands of years ago, wouldn't he go like, oh, you fucking Amazons, I'm gonna fuck you guys right up.
Probably.
Over there.
but he acts like he doesn't care. And I'm like, well, what's your motivation? Why do you want to take over the Earth?
He has no character. He has no interplay with any character. He serves no purpose other than to spout his intentions rather than have motivation himself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say something probably really unpopular. I didn't mind it.
No?
Steppenwolf, I thought was actually might have actually been a good choice.
Yeah.
Because this movie was already trying to cram 4 people's backstories, plus first-time character interactions, along with trying to clean up the mess of the last movie. Making an interesting villain might have actually hurt it.
I would say that I would almost agree with that. Like, the focus is supposed to be on the characters and their interactions. Mm-hmm. But what Avengers did is that they took a nothing race like the Chitauri, but put Loki in charge so that we know, like, oh, this is a guy we've seen before. We kind of know his deal.
Right, but who are we going to have do that, Zod?
Well, no, that's the problem, is that they already killed off all their established villains beforehand, or they're in jail, like the Suicide Squad. So it's like, so who would we have had that we already knew from the previous movies? And it's like, Lex Luthor? No.
I mean, even Hela in the Thor movie, she doesn't get to do a whole lot once you think about it.
No,
but she's
memorable.
She is a memorable villain.
Yeah,
like, I remember things she said because like I seriously can't remember any Steppenwolf's dialogue. Yeah. Like, he is so generic.
Pitiful beings or something like that, or primitive beings. Yeah,
yeah.
But and that's the thing, is like, I kind of agree with Travis's mentality. It's like, on paper, it should be interesting to introduce a character that people know nothing about. You know, like, I didn't know Steppenwolf existed until the news broke out that he was going to be the villain. And there's always potential. Like, okay, you take a nothing villain and you turn him into something really cool. It felt like there was a missed opportunity for that, though. They really did nothing to turn the character into something that we go, oh, we remember him, like Baron Vermin or Granny Goodness or any of the other Apocalyptons, or whatever they're called.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would have... Go ahead.
I feel like that once we do Darkseid in these movies, he's just going to feel like maybe hopefully he'll be a more interesting Steppenwolf. But I feel like, oh, we're doing the exact same thing again, only with with another villain. Like, that's
the problem. They've raised the stakes too high with these villains.
Yeah, and I realize that, it's the Justice League. It should be a world-ending event, but I don't know. I don't feel anything off of it. There's never any feeling of stakes in it at all. And we've ragged on this movie a lot. So let me rag on it some more. Ben Affleck,
still don't like him.
No, I don't like him anymore either, to be completely honest.
Okay. I think he's fine.
I think something went on with here where sometimes he's fine, he's all right. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's interacting pretty good, but then I don't know, sometimes it feels like he's bored. Mm-hmm. And
I think the internet has burnt him out, really.
Yeah, and I think he's burnt out on the role, and at one level, I can't really blame him. On the other level, I'm like, hey, you're still in these movies. Put up a good fucking performance.
Yeah.
Smile, dang it.
Yeah. Yeah, Cyborg, he's not as bad as when you first saw him in the trailers, where it's like, wow, this...
I actually liked him a lot more than I expected in this movie.
Yeah, like, he has, I'm like, oh, he does have a personality. He's not really... I could have standed him standing out a little bit more.
I think actually what would have helped him a lot would be more scenes with Barry.
Yeah. I do like the angle they take with it, where he's got the mother box, like, talking to him, like, screaming at him. Like, that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and the fact that he's constantly evolving, apparently. Like, he's getting introduced to new gadgets and new features that he's got in his system that he didn't have the day before. I think that's a really interesting concept they could really explore in future movies.
Yeah, it actually is a really interesting payoff at the end there too, which is kind of neat. Let's see, Aquaman. He's Conan the Barbarian, but as Aquaman,
basically.
No, he's not even just Conan. He's a dude bro in this movie.
He really is.
So he is so much a bro with just my man, and
my man.
Yeah.
Just like bad, I can dig it.
Well, and it's weird because, like, his dialogue. I mean, for one thing, Jason Momoa is not a very good actor.
Nope.
And that's the thing. It's like he's a very charismatic, very charming individual with very minimal line delivery skills. Mm-hmm. And that's really apparent. Like, all of his skills are apparent in this movie, where it's like, yeah, he's very attractive for people who are into that. He's very, physically intimidating, and he's got some really cool moments. But if you give him any lines of dialogue longer than one line, it really starts to show his weaknesses as an actor. Like, even that scene he's talking to Batman going to the water, it's like, I think he's trying to be funny, but it's not really working.
Yeah.
And, like his single funniest line was the one where he's like trying to be super serious, and then someone else provides the punchline at the when they're on the ship in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
I do like that scene though with Wonder Woman and using her power lasso to have him like admit his true feelings.
Was she actually using it, or was he just sitting on it?
Oh, he was sitting on it. That was yeah.
Well, no, because he started off doing the whole dude bro thing, but then halfway through the speech he starts to get sincere.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, why is he? And then suddenly Wonder Woman shows she.
Well, Batman kind of like he points down.
Yeah,
it's like ah.
So I think at some point Wonder Woman slipped it on him. To be funny, which is I like again, those are scenes I like in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think he works better as a payoff to jokes rather than trying to be the comedian himself. Like
Gal Gadot's still pretty fun as Wonder Woman. I like the opening bank heist with her. Really shows her how powerful she is. Like, I like it.
It's over too soon. That's the biggest problem, though. Like, it starts. There's a big bunch of super speed action, which apparently Wonder Woman is super fast now for some reason.
Didn't know that.
And then it's just
she's basically almost like she's on a power level in the comics where she's pretty close to Superman.
Right, I get that, but they've never shown that until this scene.
No.
Yeah, so it's really jarring when that happens, and then it's like, so it kind of deflates the revelation when Barry sees that Superman is as fast as he is, because you're like, well, apparently Wonder Woman is too, so is everyone super fast who can fly and has
Barry
super
has
strength?
no special skill set.
Well, no, like it's a degree sort of thing. Like you could be almost as fast as Superman and Flash, but you're still the difference is pretty big once you get into Speed Force logic.
It's just Zack Snyder's fast mo thing that he does in his new movies.
So let's talk about Superman coming back for a minute.
We're just gonna skip to that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't really want to talk about anything else in the first hour. Like we could talk about the first act. We could talk about the first action sequence.
Well,
but
no,
like,
actually,
but
I want to
why?
talk about Flash.
What's that?
I want to talk about Flash first.
Yeah, let's talk about Flash.
Okay.
So Flash, played by Ezra Miller in this film, is very interesting to me. Well, one, because they basically, like all live action adaptations, they don't really do Barry Allen. They're doing Wally West.
Yeah.
But he's actually, I don't know, for me, like there's people speculating, is he on the spectrum? Which
I guarantee it.
I would say, like, yeah, he has problems interacting with people, and like he openly says like he has a problem making friends, and yeah, he's interesting to see that bounce off of. I kind of like that in fact that he goes to people like, I've never really hit anybody before. I more or less push people out of the way when I'm doing my superhero thing.
That makes him very likable, because I think like he's the one person that we can relate to as a newcomer into the story, where everyone else is already established as a hero in their own context or in previous movies. He's the guy who's really fresh into the field, and I think that makes him very charming. I mean, not all of his jokes were great, though, to be fair, but at least Ezra Miller played it to as best as he could, I felt.
Yeah, I honestly thought that Flash was probably my favorite part about this movie.
Yeah?
Like,
okay.
I honestly just thought that having this character who is just kind of, he's so almost out of place with the rest of them. The rest of them are like, end of the world. He's like, do I have to fight that? No, I don't. Nope, I'm afraid of bugs. Sorry, not happening. I just thought he was kind of adorable, where I'm like, the one scene where like Steppenwolf goes around, he punches like everyone a few times. He gets a hit in with everyone, and he punches Flash. I'm like, hey, don't do that.
I like him.
I like him. You can't hit him.
Yeah, and then they explain his armor is that like, oh, it's actually part of like what the metal they use for space stations for high friction. And I'm like, oh, cool. Why can't he just have tights like Superman does? And then I'm like, I know people are coming to be like, well, Superman's got like, it's his own Kryptonian clothes. And I'm like, there isn't spare Kryptonian clothes around. Like, look.
There's spare kryptonite everywhere.
I don't mind that he has armor. I mind that it looks fucking butt ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like the head part where I just felt like it was too flat.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it was literally like molded to, like it was a skin cap, and like, it just looks weird.
He looks like an alien to me.
Yeah.
Like, it was just...
Who are these heroes going to mold these kind of suits? Because there's some very intricate stuff going on with like shaping around the muscles, around the eyes and that stuff, that there's just, apparently they just have access to, super awesome costume designers in this world.
Oh no,
but then
it's in the mode.
Oh yeah, apparently. But then
She's just
two,
around.
also, someone else pointed this out, and I think it was probably the Double Toasted guys. So the Flash has armor to protect all around his body in the Speed Force, except for his mouth and chin and nose.
Yeah.
So I guess that part doesn't burn off in the Speed Force, apparently.
I don't know. I couldn't.
Superhero logic.
Look, it's one of those things that I nitpick. It doesn't really matter, but it's one of those designs things that I'm like, it could have easily been something else. You guys I don't understand why you guys are so afraid of tights. Like,
Give me the tights.
To be fair, they can look really ugly if they're done badly.
Yeah. Sure, but so does the armor.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like armor is superior to tights. Like, that's what I feel like the DC people are like, no, armor's way cooler. And I'm like, no, you could easily fuck up armor just like any other costume. It's not it's not inherently better. Like, I don't.
It's the same problem that they have for, like, why can't Captain America have his wings on his helmet? It's like, it's really hard to design that on a costume, you know?
Sure, but they do end up having, like, Captain America costumes that look pretty fucking good. Even if they're not, you know, what the traditional one looks like. They meet halfway between or do something else. And I don't know. Like, I like how Batman's costume looks because he's wearing tights. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, it looks like he can move around in that. He doesn't get a cool action scene like he does in BVS where he gets to, like, beat a bunch of people up the same way.
Yeah.
He fights some parademons, but he does feel like he's a liability on the team.
He really does.
Like,
yeah. And also, talking about that first battle scene too, with Steppenwolf, not the one with the Amazons, but the one they're all together with, that giant Nightcrawler thing, that may be the most impractical machine ever put in a superhero film. Because that, and talk about Batman being liability, that thing is a giant freaking liability. It has no combat functionality against giant flying miniature little demons.
Well, look, I'm glad we saw it in that one sequence in that tunnel because that's the only place where it'll ever be useful. Like,
exactly. And it wasn't even useful there. So it's just this big giant hunk, you know, it's a walking metal coffin, essentially.
Yeah, so we'll get to the middle part here because that's what I want to talk about. So when Superman comes back, and the reason they bring him back is pretty weird. Like the whole mother box, like, we can bring him back to life with this energy. Like, I don't understand how you jump to that logic, but fine, whatever.
I mean, at least they explained that it's the same method they use for Zod in Batman v Superman. So, like, okay, we've established it's possible to revive bodies with this power. But, yeah, it is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, but last time it made a monster.
So...
Well, that's why, like, the mother box's energies are different than just standard electricity or something like that. I don't know.
So I'm not gonna lie, at this point in the movie, when I saw it for the first time, I was, you know, it's an hour in, and I'm like, okay, this isn't as bad as BVS. There are things that I like in here. It's not awful, but I'm still pretty bored. And then suddenly Superman comes back to life, and he's kind of crazy, and I'm like, oh my god, did the movie just become badass for like 10 minutes? What the fuck is this? And so he comes back, and he decides to punk out basically the entire Justice League and just rip them a new asshole. And I love it. I love this shit. It shows how powerful Superman can be and how dangerous he actually is. To the point where, you know, he's fighting with Aquaman, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman tries to, like, you know, tangle with him, and, you know, Wonder Woman's pretty strong, so she, like, he headbutts her, and then she is like, oh, well, yeah, fuck you, I'm gonna headbutt you back. And Superman's like, oh, I see how it is. So let me just put a little more stank on it and put you into a crater.
Yep.
And I'm like,
a little more stank.
And yeah, he's got some really good lines in there too. I mean, my favorite part of the movie has got to be when Flash tries to get behind him and outflank him in the Speed Force.
That was the single funniest scene in the whole movie.
And then suddenly in the middle of the Speed Force, you just see Superman's eye kind of like start to move towards Flash. And I don't know about you guys' theaters, but my whole theater was like, oh shit.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I went to this movie obviously a week after it was out. There's 5 people in the theater.
Oof, that's not great.
No, I saw it with a pretty full theater because I saw it like midweek, you know, Thanksgiving break, people had an excuse to go to the movies kind of thing. And that's the thing, it's like, that scene works so well because you don't need to talk to make that scene funny. Everything that's being communicated is through gestures with the eyes and facial expressions. And that's funny enough.
I love the look on Ezra Miller's face.
That's a pretty oh shit moment.
Like, I swear to God, I heard him go, and you realize just like, oh, it's not that Superman is just fucking strong. He's just as fast, if not faster than the Flash. And then Batman shows up, and I love this because Superman goes, oh, I remember you.
That mother effer.
And I'm like, oh shit. And he picks up Batman and is like, hey, the world needs you, buddy. Remember that we're friends? Yeah, I remember. I do remember. Do you bleed? And I'm kind of like, oh shit.
I did feel like that was pretty, like, because that line was super stupid back in Batman v Superman, but it at least had kind of an irony in this one that made it funnier in context.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, yeah, this one, they acknowledge how dumb that was in the first movie, and it's like, oh, well, now I'm going to turn the tables on you.
Yeah. Also, it's weird because this is the only point in the movie where we see other people in it. Like, in the beginning part, we get to see Commissioner Gordon for some reason. I actually don't know why he's in the movie.
He's literally in the movie for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And all of that exercise that J.K. Simmons did for this movie.
Like, he gives them a little information that the Alfred or the Bat computer could easily have given them, and then I'm like, okay, I don't understand why he was even here.
They had to establish him for the next movie, so.
Yeah, but why? Like, I realize that they have to establish stuff for the other movies, but can there be more to the scene than just establishing for other movies?
Yeah. Well, that's the sad thing. Is like nothing he did in this scene was terribly impactful. It was just an excuse to bring the team together. But even then, it's like, well, they could have done that any number of other ways, like you said. It was just, I don't know. I mean, I love J.K. Simmons, but it's not like his dialogue was anything special either. And it's not like he's never been in a bad movie or a bad performance before.
Well, it's sad because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that, you know, just like BVS, you could cut out and not really miss anything. In fact, it would, I mean, I already understand that this movie has already been cut to shit because it was a 3-hour cut made into 2.
Yeah, you remember we talked about that last week?
Yeah, and I'm like, I could have stand to cut some more out of it, to be completely honest, because this film works better if it's paced. Like, for all those people hoping like, oh, the movie would have been so much better if we just got the director's cut. I'm like, no, it wouldn't have. No, it wouldn't have. It'd just be longer.
Pretty much guarantee it would not have been.
Yeah, though I will say the thing I did kind of like about that scene was their excuse to cram in the Batman theme from the 1989 film into that sequence.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I will say this too, like, I actually didn't mind the music in this one. Because, I mean, it is Danny Elfman, who is a, you know, classical composer from that era of early superhero films.
Sure.
And, I mean compared to Junkie XL's mashing on the keyboards or Hans Zimmer's, you know, blaring of the trumpets, the music in here actually kind of fit. Like, it wasn't annoying and it seemed to flow organically with the story.
Yeah. I'm not sure why Icky Thump plays when Aquaman visits Atlantis, but
that was such a Zack Snyder moment, because he'll do that. He'll just cram in music in his movies for no reason. Especially, he has a fascination with remixes and remakes of songs, and I just don't get it. I don't get why he's so obsessed with cover songs like that.
It's because he's a director of photography or a cinematographer that got made into a director for some reason that I don't understand. Like,
yeah, I mean, and Dawn of the Dead was a decent movie and it had some really good, you know, covers in its music, but it wasn't so intrusive like all of his other films have been. You know?
Well, and then what I give Zack Snyder credit for is that he can frame a shot. Like some of the points in this film look really good.
No, he usually has a good understanding of color, of placement, of lighting. He's actually a fairly good visual stylist if you just keep him in check, and no one seems to be able to.
Yeah, and look, ever since Sucker Punch, I feel like he doesn't have a grasp on storytelling anymore, or what makes.
I mean, even Watchmen, I would argue, but.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, Watchmen, Watchmen has its own shit, but I was still like, you know what, I'll give him another shot. After Sucker Punch, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
yeah,
like,
see, I never saw Sucker Punch, but I did see Watchmen, and that one was just. That one did editing so bad.
Look, there's only a couple movies I actually get mad at. Like, I don't sit in films I even like bad films to watch them for interesting reasons. And Zack Snyder's made 2 of the films that I rarely get mad at. BVS and Sucker Punch. And I don't know which one makes me, more mad. But this one, I don't know. Once we hit the part after Superman, most of the crew, the Justice League, just kind of sit down and finally get a moment to talk with each other. Batman and Wonder Woman have an interesting conversation about why Wonder Woman kind of just fucked off from society for a while.
That was a good scene.
Yeah, that's a pretty good scene. Although it does bring up the fact that, like, oh, because my boyfriend died, I got sad and abandoned the world for like 100 years or something. And I'm like,
it's not like Nazis or the Cold War or anything else could have brought her out of retirement, you know?
But that's a thing that they could easily just retcon in continuity. Like, no, I was doing stuff. Like, but in this movie,
it wasn't the open.
Yeah, but in this movie, it feels like she wasn't doing stuff. Like, and I'm like, what? That doesn't seem like you at all. Like that you would just
that problem, like you said, like with continuity, where like she's just introduced randomly into Batman v Superman, so we had to retcon and give actual backstory for her, but then we had to jump back as if we're continuing that logic from Batman v Superman. So
yeah,
I mean they did state a lot that's like, oh, you were hiding in the shadows like me type of thing. So it's a pretty easy fix, I think.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the fact that Wonder Woman acts as the responsible adult among everybody, and that Batman is like, look, I really shouldn't be the leader, like, you should be, or Superman should be. Like, I can be a general, like, I can give orders and stuff, but as far as being a whole, complete person, that ain't me. So I kind of like that Batman does have a knowing limitations in this.
Yep. Which he did state, like, we need Superman because he's more human than I am. Like, yes, in this movie I can see that. This is the movie where I can see Superman being more human than Batman. If I ignore BVS's existence entirely.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when Superman comes back, like, they took this opportunity to retcon Superman, where Superman is now
Smiley.
He's smiling. He's the Superman we all remember for whatever reason.
To show those pearly whites.
I don't know what about dying made him change his perspective on stuff, but he smiles a lot in this.
No, actually, that could easily be a reason why.
Sure.
He now has a form of, mortality.
Yeah. I mean,
he went to go see God. He went to heaven for a bit, so he's like, it's all pretty dandy right now.
Yeah. Look, in the final action sequence, which we'll talk about in a minute, Superman shows up and he's kind of like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, is this guy still bothering you?" And he gives these fucking Boy Scout quips, and I'm kind of like, "Fuck yeah, this is like what I've been waiting for like 2 or 3 movies that Superman's been in."
Well, I think they also gave him great character moments actually with Lois Lane, which I'm I actually feel like they might be in a relationship this time rather than BVS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and even that moment when he sees his mom, I thought that was a really sweet little moment too. Like, it felt like they, again, this is the problem with WB, that they're so reactionary to everything that happens, where it's like, well, why didn't people complain about Superman, protest that he destroyed half the city? Okay, we'll do that. Okay, well, why is Superman so angry and moody all the time? Okay, then we'll stop doing that too. And it's just, it's a welcome change, but it's just so, it's clearly made for the fans. Mm-hmm. And it's a little, on the one hand, I appreciate it. On the other hand, it shows a little bit like a lack of spine on their behalf.
Look, and that's why I'm actually having a hard time thinking about like how I feel about this movie, because on one level, I do respect that they tried to do something different with Batman and Superman, to try and do something different with those characters, because we have seen them a lot. So doing a different interpretation might not be a bad idea. But I do appreciate that. I can't lie that I did enjoy the course corrections they made in this movie.
Well, they gave time for almost all the characters to breathe, which I think is their main flaw in the other movie.
Like I'll admit, it's like, this isn't a great movie, but it's hard for me to like kick it in the dick when it did stuff that I wanted it to do.
Yeah, no, it's the problem where people are sniping at it for doing everything they asked for, more or less. I mean, some things they also didn't ask for, to be fair. But, it's like every other thing that they complain about, it's like, okay, like 80% of it we have right here in this movie. Everything, of the things you asked about.
Yeah, and as far as the box office, how it's doing right now, it's doing okay. I think the problem is just how much money they spent on it. It's going to be hard for it to earn its money back.
No, that's why everyone's trying to whip it, where it's just like, oh yeah, it's a huge box office bomb. It's like, no, in perspective, it looks like a box office bomb. It's still making money, but when you compare it to the $300 million budget reportedly that it had, including all the marketing and that stuff, yeah, it's going to look like a bomb if you compare it to such a high number.
And I feel like it's paying for some of the sins of BVS, where movies they always pay for the sins of their predecessor.
Yep.
And I think that put a lot of people off, and they spent too much money on this type of movie. They need to think smaller, I think, in terms of budget. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing that they can do, which we'll talk about the ending fight right now. This ending fight, look, I can't
really. It's too long.
It's too long. Like, it's another point where in the Avengers, so remember where the Avengers where it climaxes and then the movie goes on for like another half hour?
Yeah.
And it just shows cool shit the whole time? Well, the reason that works and why you don't get bored is because it's a culmination of like 5 or 6 other movies climaxing at once and going, holy shit, this all worked. It's kind of like them throwing themselves their own party. Going like, can you believe we fucking did this? Now, look, you could just see cool shit. Look at Loki get pwned by Hawkeye, or the Hulk, or Captain America being awesome, leading people, or, Hulk and Thor, teaming up and then Hulk punching him. Like, there's like a sense of it being earned at the end.
Right.
And this one is like, yeah, you didn't earn this. You didn't earn this big CG party you're trying to throw at yourself.
Well, it doesn't help, too, that the CG's not very good.
No.
Like, it's not terrible, but it still looks very fake.
Well, they've obviously color corrected it, because it's not. I looked back at the trailer, and I'm like, the trailer is much more red. Like because of that fucking force field or whatever. Like, that's why
it's still a lot of red in this.
There's still a lot of red, but it's pretty muted. Like, they've changed the color scheme in some of the scenes, I feel like. Which is weird. Like, it actually makes the costumes look weird in certain sequences, but...
Yeah.
But overall, it's not... I actually appreciate it for the final fight, because it's not like in the trailer, it looks like you're looking at a Virtual Boy. Like it actually kind of hurts your eyes. It's so red.
I'm sure it gave some seizures to some Japanese kids out there, you know?
Yeah. So like, I mean, I like, Flash zipping in and out. Like they actually use some combo attacks, which are pretty cool. The main problem is that like, there's this one sequence where it's like, oh, there's people here. And I'm like, yeah, because you keep showing that one family over and over again.
Okay, and it's such a wasted opportunity because that family didn't have anything to do with anything other than just, we need to save people.
I was thinking to myself, I'm like, is there a Russian superhero that I don't remember? Because I thought one of those kids might have been a superhero or something. Like,
that
would
have been awesome.
I'm like, why are they focusing? Because it's not like they're not, like they just show the family when they get saved. They show them a couple times. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, but then it shows up and Flash saves them, sure, but it's not like he has a big conversation with them or really anything.
No.
In fact, the whole thing that culminates into is a joke that Superman saved way more people than him.
Which was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
But we didn't need their backstory for that.
Like, I don't know.
We could have seen Flash saving a car of people versus Superman saving a house of people.
Well, and then it's interesting because this movie feels like there's only 7 people in the fucking universe. Because when they fight Superman in the middle of, like, Metropolis, there's 2 cops that show up, and that's it. And then during this whole Chernobyl fight, they show the family, and then Superman suddenly rescuing a building of people out of nowhere.
Well, they do actually show people fleeing. They showed multiple people fleeing. Though,
okay.
The one scene.
Yeah, and also it's a sparsely populated place to begin with, because it's nearby a giant reactor that exploded. So it's like, not a lot of people are going to live there to begin with.
Sure.
But yeah, they could have had, like, at the end where, like, Flash, like, waves to the girl leaving. They could have shown her, like, have some form of power or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, not even just that. Like, if it felt like maybe like their house is on top of a mother box, or if some other like plot relevant thing was occurring with them. But literally, Flash makes a terrible joke about like, oh, I can't speak any Russian, so I'm going to say Dostoevsky, and then runs away, and then the scene just ends. It's like, okay, well, that was payoff.
Sure was worth the 3 other times we checked on this family. That's for sure.
I know, right?
And yeah, I mean, I do like Superman coming in and basically, like the Steppenwolf they're having problems with Steppenwolf, all of them individually, and then Superman just shows up like, okay, I could take this guy out. It's not a big deal.
Which kind of deflated the tension a little bit, because you're just like, everyone's just struggling so hard, and then Superman, he can just pretty much just, sneeze on him and knock him backwards. So.
Well, it's kind of an interesting dynamic that they have here, because Marvel doesn't really have this, where they have just a character that's way more powerful than almost every other character combined.
Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, but this one's a hero, right? Like, can just fix problems. But even Vision, they play down his powers to like, I feel like you are really powerful, but then somehow you get hit and knocked around, like he feels like on the same level as Iron Man, which I'm like, I feel like you should be more powerful, but whatever.
To be honest though, I don't think I've ever seen Vision get hit by anything. Like he people try to attack him, but he seems to shrug off any other attack. So that's kind of the same problem there. Where it's like, you got someone who pretty much could take on all these, just dudes in spandex who are trying to fight him. But I mean, at least Steppenwolf is an alien that's strong enough to possibly put up a fight against Superman, but the movie treats it as if he's just a punching bag for the most part.
Yeah, and then Superman finally uses his cold breath, which I don't even know if he used that before in the previous films. I don't remember.
No, he didn't, but they just like, hey, look, we're going to try to make Superman as close to the Superman you all want. So he'll smile, he'll be concerned about the people, and we'll give him more of his powers. So,
I like it.
There you go.
I will take it.
Dude, I'm actually cool with that. In fact, the rumors that they might be rebooting after this or changing up their universe actually make me sort of sad, because I'm like, well, this is actually going in the right direction of like fixing shit. But then again, I'm not wholly against rebooting either.
No. Here's my thought.
Yeah.
Is that they actually jump forward a few years. Mm-hmm. They keep Superman because why the fuck not? It's not like he's going to age much. But they kind of age up some of the other characters, and they get rid of Ben Affleck and introduce a possibly Robin, or maybe
Well, I know they're doing a Nightwing movie.
Yeah, I mean,
supposed to be.
Replace him with someone like that. Maybe make a new Batman, or get Batman Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do the whole thing where it's like, what was that? The Black Mirror comic, I think it was called, or Dark Mirror, where they had Nightwing become Batman at one point. Mm-hmm. That could be kind of cool. Just like, the mantle's been passed to another younger hero who could last around for more movies.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't really need to worry about Wonder Woman or Superman aging. They can just ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Aquaman.
I mean, Wonder Woman's already like hundreds of years old.
Exactly. Yeah. Aquaman, I'm not sure how that works, but
Which
whatever.
also doesn't seem weird that, like, I mean, I guess it's because it's in Justice League TV show where it's like, they're kind of hinting at a slight, like, flirty relationship between Wonder Woman and Batman in this one. Yeah. It's like, it's kind of cute-ish, but it's like, yeah, this woman's like hundreds of years older than you. Yeah. So.
Well, I think with that, with immortal characters, like, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that it's always going to be kind of weird that they've been around for thousands of years.
Right.
That, and I feel like the relationship between Batman and Wonder Woman in this one is like, yeah, I guess you could read it as flirty. I mean, I would definitely get a moment where I feel like Batman just couldn't help himself. Like, yeah, that's the little Bruce Wayne billionaire in me.
Well, I mean, like, there's even some like very emotionally intimate moments. Like, not like actual, like, physically intimate or anything, but like, there's some very, like, those moments that show bonding between people that could hint towards romantic stuff. Yeah. Like, especially that one where they show off Superman being bruised, and it's like, yeah, that there I sensed a little bit of that tone with the way they were addressing the issue.
Batman.
You mean where Batman is like, showing how vulnerable he is when he...
Batman.
Yeah. And you're right. I do like the fact that these two seem to have a history that is not really... Again, it's like another movie happened rather than BVS. I don't like that the fact that almost everyone may had a little moment with Wonder Woman about how hot she was. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, it would be unrealistic if no one mentioned it, but not all of them had to mention it.
Yeah. Having been in a situation where I got called out for not telling someone how beautiful their girlfriend was, I mean, I kind of understand where they're coming from with it. It's like, look, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Well, no, so. and look, no, I would actually find it unrealistic if someone didn't mention, like, Jesus, have you seen like how hot she is? Like, someone would say it, sure. Like that would just, but like, it felt like almost everyone had a moment where like even Flash like lands on top of her.
Okay, that one was super awkward.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't get what this joke was. That was weird. And then Cyborg even has a moment where like, yeah, baby, just keep the Conan the fish barbarian away from me sort of moment. I'm like, okay, tone it down, Cyborg. It was, well,
at least her objectification was not as bad as the bikini Amazons in the beginning, where they've. I guess it's summer in Themyscira because they strip down all their armor except for like the stuff covering their chest and their crotches.
Yeah. Well, look, that's what pisses me off about the whole spaceship stupid looking Flash suit is that like, no, this was what would make sense for Flash if he was running fast. I'm like, then why the fuck are the Amazons wearing bikinis? How is that effective? Like the selectiveness of what they think like makes sense or whatnot. I'm like, look, you picked what you thought looked cool. Like that's how
Zack Snyder makes movies. He picks things that looks cool or looks hot.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't try and sell me on this whole, we wanted to try and be realistic about it. Like, nah, you're making a movie about super people. One guy dressed up like a bat, one guy throws a trident around.
Although to be fair, I could see Joss Whedon doing that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, Joss Whedon, he was actually always better about making empowered female characters, even in his TV shows. I mean,
yeah, but he's not above making them look hot either. So
no, but it does give them moments to where other people have other relationships with them. Other than look, I'm not getting a whole Joss Whedon argument here. I always thought he did some great work. Age of Ultron, be damned, of like how sometimes it was awkward, but. Yeah, as far as, these other directors or whatever, I don't think Zack Snyder really knows what to do with Wonder Woman. Because even she doesn't really get a whole lot to do in this movie other than be the den mother.
Yeah, I think they realized too late where they're like, oh yeah, people are really liking Wonder Woman kind of thing. It was kind of a very last minute correction. Like you said, all these course corrections happening. That was definitely one of the big ones there. So
yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie. I mean, we can talk about some of the stingers.
I mean, just other than that, just saying the big spoiler again too, obviously Steppenwolf gets defeated because it seems like the simplest solution, just like, oh yeah, just put your hands in the box and split them apart. That didn't seem like it required that much effort other than just, hey, Superman, fly down here and split those boxes apart. It's problem solved.
Well, it did take Cyborg reintegrating with them, which is something like, they kind of brought up the whole entire movie, like, this thing is kind of taking control of me. So that was kind of a character moment, just not something they really played up. But I did actually really like the scene where, like, okay, so we're going to split this apart, yeah. And it might cause a big burst. Can we handle it? Probably.
Yeah, I would, maybe.
I did like that. I thought that was a very human moment between the two. We're just like, can we do this? I don't know. All right.
I don't really want to die again. I just did that. It wasn't fun.
That was funny. But then there was the last bit where among the other tertiary unnecessary plot lines that were resolved, it's like, oh hey, Mama Kent gets to keep her house because Batman bought the bank, which I'm sure that's supposed to be funny, but it seems a little bit badly timed for, current economic situations. But then the big one, the big final scene before the stingers, the Justice League Hall being formed.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, are certain moments where I do get an Avengers type feel of like, oh shit, this is the moment. This is the Hall of fucking Justice. That's awesome.
Though the Hall of Justice is just some random courthouse that they bought or some mansion.
Yeah, it looks like a mansion.
Well, it's supposed to be like an embassy on the Earth. I'm not sure what its original origins are to begin with, anyway. But I'm still. It's like, oh, cool. Like that's neat. Then the other stinger is I think the mid credit stinger.
Yeah, two stingers.
Yeah, the mid credit stinger is Superman and Flash doing the whole race.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yay, that's fun. I like that.
I really like that scene a lot. I thought that was it was very charming in a way that I didn't expect this movie to be charming. Where it's like, with all the other self-serious dialogue, there's just a nice, light, friendly scene. And
it was
like,
cute.
Oh, yeah, it was ending on a high note,
Yeah, I liked it a lot. And then the final one after the credits was we see Lex Luthor again, and he's bald this time, and I'm like, okay, fine. I guess we're sticking with this.
They reported for so long that Jesse Eisenberg was not going to be in this film. He's not on the set. Don't worry. And then that last second, they're just like, "Ha! You thought we got rid of him, didn't you?"
But
kind of.
We do get our first look at Deathstroke, and let me just say, Deathstroke looks pretty badass.
That armor.
They nailed that look. Because I always complained that in Arrow, the Deathstroke armor looked a little clumsy, a little clunky design kind of thing. Well, right here, this is the new 52 design. It looked perfect.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, yeah, this is about right for costume design and trying to make armor that looks like a dude could actually run around in it.
If they would just maybe show him.
What is his name? Joe Manganiello, playing the character. He looks the part. Like they had to do some aging on him because he's not that old.
Right.
No.
But hey, he looks like Deathstroke.
Now, if only they could have shown him without Jesse Eisenberg in this scene.
Yeah,
I know that scene would have been so much cooler if it wasn't Eisenberg saying those lines.
Well, look, and then he drops the like, "Hey, our friends seem to be banding together to make their own little Justice League. I think it's time we made a team of ourselves." And I'm like, "Oh,
no, he says a league of our own."
Yeah,
movie references.
Yes,
and I'm like, yes, fucking Injustice League / Legion of Doom or whatever the fuck. I'm like, yes, I'm actually really into that. It's one of those things in the Marvel movies because they kill their villains so often that they're not able to do a whole coalition of bad guys.
Or Spider-Man in the previous Spider-Man where they tried forcing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's something that hasn't really, it's one of those things, one of those rare untapped resources that has not been done in a superhero movie yet, of the team of bad guys to fight the new threat of the team of heroes.
We did try that with Suicide Squad a little bit for a test run, and we saw how that worked.
Well, they made them the heroes. That was they took what was cool about the team of villains thing and neutered it because they just made them the straight up protagonists and heroes.
Which I'm curious, do you think they're going to get anyone on the Suicide Squad for this Legion of Doom thing if it actually goes forward?
I'm sure that Will Smith might pop up if they pay him enough.
Yeah, I would actually not mind him coming back. Like, of all the people in Suicide Squad, if he comes back, I would be cool with it.
But again, it's a weird tonal shift then from what we've seen in Suicide Squad.
The problem is we haven't really seen anyone that can go toe-to-toe with almost anyone in the Justice League. Like,
yeah, Deathstroke's cool, but he can only fight Batman, really.
Well, yeah, almost all those Suicide Squad people can only fight Batman.
And maybe Flash because he's clumsy.
Yeah, and maybe it's like Killer Croc. Like, okay, but almost everyone on the Justice League can kick his ass.
Right.
And then you got
Batman.
Captain Boomerang, who's just useless. So
yeah, it's a promise that I don't think that they're actually going to keep, but the promise is kind of cool.
Well, I think one they could probably easily get is Black Manta in the next Aquaman movie. That seems like at least someone who's at least up to snuff to fight some of the heroes in that case. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to kind of see it being plotted out, like if they did him and then Reverse Flash, if Flashpoint actually happens.
And maybe Ares?
No, Ares is dead.
Plus,
Ares is boring. Like,
then I will destroy you!
Yeah, we'll name a Wonder Woman villain.
I believe in love.
Cheetah.
Yeah, you can do Cheetah. Cheetah might be kind of cool. Or Cersei. Get some magic in there while we're at it.
Nice, actually.
Like, let's get weird.
Well, that's the thing is that magic could shut down Superman because that's part of his backstory.
Yeah, that's the thing that people forget is like Superman has at least 5 or 6 distinct weaknesses that just no one thinks to exploit, you know?
Well, that's what I always thought about the DCU movies is that, like, hey, do Constantine and some of these other weird, like, do Satana and introduce magic. Get weird with it. Do things that Marvel doesn't seem to want to do.
I mean, Doctor Strange is already kind of tipping their... yeah.
Yeah, now it's too late because they've already done Doctor Strange, which it took them a while to get into straight up mysticism because I felt like they were just a little bit gun shy about introducing magic, but now Marvel has introduced that too, so it's like, well, shit. So the only thing that DC has really beaten them to is having their first tentpole female superhero film, which, hey, I won't take that away from them. I liked Wonder Woman. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, how long did we ask for a Black Widow movie and never got it from Marvel? Just saying.
Yeah, and I don't understand why either. Like that movie, you can imagine the budget would be so super small. It almost writes itself. Like it just
do a Hawkeye and Black Widow movie. That would be really easy. Kind of
it's not like Jeremy Renner. It's not like Jeremy Renner's busy. He's like doing a bunch of other shit.
He's doing some art films. You know, give the guy some credit, man.
Well, give him a paycheck. Come on, let him be. Let him be the Jason Bourne that he couldn't be before. But yeah, anything else we want to mention about Justice League before we wrap it up?
Yeah, well, did we actually give ratings for it? Because
actually, I have no idea how I'm going to rate it. I'll let you guys go first.
Okay. Like I said in the beginning of this review, this was a movie. There are definitely things I like about it, and I do give it credit for its course corrections, like you said, that I like Superman in this movie. I legitimately can say I like Superman. Like, he was fun to watch. He was just a little big Boy Scout that I'm like, ah. And I liked Flash. I actually thought he was one of the better parts of this movie. I think Ezra Miller did a good job of being kind of a goofy, relatable character. I think either he needs someone else to bounce off of, like maybe that's why I think he should have bounced more off of Cyborg or somebody. Like, he's missing his Green Lantern buddy, I guess. So,
I'd almost want to see him bounce off Superman in a future movie because I felt like their chemistry was really good in the few scenes they interacted with each other in this movie.
He just needs something, but Steppenwolf being this big CG monster guy, I mean, I can kind of understand why they made it simple because this movie didn't need to be it didn't need to be complex because it was trying to cram so much into it to begin with.
Yeah.
Overall, just due to the fact they did a pretty decent job of trying to make up for the sins of the previous movie, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, I think.
All right. Justin, how about you?
I'm kind of in line with Travis on this one. I feel like, again, I've been saying this for the last few months where I'm just like, I just want this movie to not suck. That's the bar, unfortunately, as low as it is, that it has to clear. And at least it didn't suck. I will say that. It's like, I think out of the DCEU movies, it's tied for second with Man of Steel for me, because I just can't watch Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman again. At least I was like, okay, there are parts that are not bad, but then there's other parts that are bad. And so it's a movie that just moves in fits and starts. Like, it feels like, again, like I said before, there's only 2 speeds to this movie. It's either barreling down with exposition, trying to get as much action happening as possible, or it just slows to a crawl, trying to give character moments. And there's no natural flow between the two. I mean, even without Joss Whedon coming to interfere, I feel like that's what the movie would have been like anyway. Because I feel like those sequences, I mean, that's just how Zack Snyder directs action sequences too. He just does them in short bursts of violence, and then they're just done. There's no cool down, there's no falling action. It's just, here's that big scene that was really cool, and then we're going to shift to something else completely. Having said that, again, I found this to be more enjoyable than people are giving it credit for, because there's so many people hammering at this movie. And it's like, yes, the movie's biggest sin is just that it's very average. And sometimes that is a sin, that is something that can hurt a lot of movies, but it's not bad. It's just we've seen a lot better superhero films, and Thor is still in theaters, and surprisingly, that was a really, really good movie. So that doesn't help either. But yeah, I mean, I would say, someone asked me recently, it's like, hey, you saw Justice League, so should I go out to see this in the theaters? And I had to think about it for a moment. I'm just like, I mean, unless you can get it at a matinee, I'd say you'd probably be better off just redboxing it, or maybe renting it on Blu-ray. So I think I'm going to be at the same level. I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 definitions of brunch.
Definitions of brunch. Yeah, I'm I'm confused about how to rate this one too, because I realize that it's all about my expectations going in of what I was expecting. It doesn't help that there's just in my opinion, one of the better Marvel films out right now. And the fact that it was one of their, even Thor Ragnarok I was talking about.
Yeah.
Marvel is basically fixed one of their weaker properties.
It's true.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, they course corrected in a way better way, but you got to give DC the credit where it's due, and I want to do that. And there's that point in there in that middle part where I turn around and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm legitimately having a good time right now. And I'm not like, cherry picking just good stuff. Like, this is like, there's some legitimately good shit going on right now. Yeah, I would say that this one, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I'd say it's pretty average. I think if you go into it, I don't think you'd regret seeing it in the theater. Or maybe you would, depending on all the people yelling about it right now. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. As far as how it compares, like, since we almost have to compare it to the Marvel films, this one, I mean, even the structure of like, hey, these guys are after a cube. I'm sorry, 3 cubes. That makes it different.
I mean, technically, the Avengers are also after multiple cubes, just not in the first movie.
Yeah. It's not even close. Like, it's still, we're still giving it a participation trophy, but, it's not, I would say it's better than, is it better than Thor the Dark World? Because I do like that movie more than most people do.
That's the only one I haven't seen of Marvel, so I can't judge fairly.
It's pretty boring as well. It's its biggest sin.
But I remember more things about Justice League than Dark Worlds. Like,
it's more memorable.
To be honest, the most thing I remember about Dark Worlds was the Mjolnir thing.
Yes.
And that's not a good scene.
So it's another movie that, like, this movie is nowhere near Wonder Woman, but it's nowhere near BVS as well. Right. So it's in that middle spectrum of where you can see how, like, they might be getting on the right track of, like, okay, they're kind of slowly figuring out how to make an actual movie.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that the Avengers Infinity War trailer just came out where you're like, oh, that's how you do a superhero team up.
Dude, that Infinity War trailer makes me go like, what about Justice League?
Who?
I realized I saw that.
That was the hooker I picked up.
I just saw this month, and I just forgot about it in the last 2 minutes. Just like it's just gone from my brain. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and hopefully you enjoyed that lively discussion about Justice League. Let us know what you think about Justice League. If you want to, contact us, follow us on Facebook, maybe tweet at us at UGO Podcast. Follow us on Instagram. That's the same thing. Or, just subscribe to us on iTunes and hopefully give us some of those 5-star reviews. And, tell us what, like, if you read that review box, I'll read it on the air word for word. Tell me what you think, like your criticism in the review box of our criticism, like a review within a review. Get meta with it. I do not care. Justin,
please actually give something that we can work with, people.
Justin, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Facebook and occasionally on Twitter. I have 2 profiles there. Just look up Justin Zarian. I'll show up on one of them. You can also find me on oneofus.net. That's my primary source of posting stuff. And I write the notes for the subscriber-only podcast, The Breakfast Pub, where we comment on the weekly news and the trailers and everything else that's going on in entertainment lately. But I also just launched a new podcast with a limited run, publicly available podcast called Eyes on the Prize. It's a special podcast dedicated to the award season. And, again, it's not going to be all throughout the year. It'll just be until March. But we cover all the big, steps leading to the Oscar nominations this year because I'm just that much of a geek. I really love that stuff. But yeah, if you're interested, check it out. We have some pretty lively discussion. My co-hosts this week were Ian Butcher and JC DeLeon from One of Us, which they're totally awesome. They're just the greatest to bounce off of. But yeah, I hope people enjoy it. There were a few sound issues with this episode just because I recorded with a place with bad internet. So bear with me. I edited as much as humanly possible. So
that's all right. It's completely understandable.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we can bring this one to an end, guys. Justice has been served.
Justice for all.
Long live the League. With that, we are out of here. We are Unapologists, Geek Out, and we're out.